Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to the one and only June episode of Copy That, specifically a very special episode of what has been a series of episodes where each month we have focused on a singular theme around helping people either get into copywriting, grow their copywriting career, get better at copywriting, do things that are not copywriting. And this is going to be one of those months where we talk about something that may or may not have something to do with copywriting. Specifically, this is going to be the episode where we talk about marketing, a beginner's guide to marketing, how to get in it, how to think about it, how to start doing it. The whole point and premise of this episode being giving you enough knowledge so that you could start actually like pivoting from merely a copywriter, I am person who writes words, to actual strategist, marketing consultant, person who does things for businesses to help them make more money, and in so doing, make a lot of money yourself. So before we get started, hello. How is everybody? How are you all doing today?
Great.
I'm so good. I'm so good. I've been doing so much marketing strategy recently, like genuinely. So I am so ready for this because I want to get it out of my brain, and so other people have to listen about it. So
Do you ever do marketing strategy? Do you ever do marketing strategy disingenuously?
Always. That's the only way to do marketing, guys. Come on.
I'm pretty sure in the after show, like kibitzing sessions that we tend to have where we just sort of like invent campaigns and businesses for funsies, that's the disingenuous marketing strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'm good. And also, hey everyone, welcome. So this is marketing strategy month, I guess you would call it. And this is something I feel like we haven't really spoken about on Copy That very much. Which has been much to my dismay because I love marketing strategy and genuinely believe that, you know, we can come onto the money making later. But as I know everyone is always looking how to make money, I think marketing strategy is the best bet for the most people to make the most money as a freelancer. Like in my experience, it's certainly been the case, and going in-house as well. So I'm very excited to talk about it because it's kind of just opens a door. Would you guys agree with that? Like it just opens several doors that copywriting just can't by itself.
Well,
Yes.
Why don't I speak very specifically? Lindsay and I, worked in-house for a very large direct response conglomerate, and her career trajectory took off once she understood how to straddle the copy, the marketing, and the editorial that is the fulfillment side of the business. I'm not going to speak for her. She can speak for her own experience. And I personally, I was a copywriter for a year and a half, 2 years, writing promotions, things like that. And it was only when I actually worked on a campaign and strategized the full marketing, all the marketing components for it. And the follow-up sequences, the warm-up sequences, all the different components that went into the marketing rather than just like write words, put out copy, make money. That was the first promotion where I generated over $1 million in revenue. And so actually understanding the marketing component to copywriting and where your copywriting fits into a larger marketing puzzle, it's the missing piece for a lot of copywriters, especially copywriters who feel like either they can't get their foot in the door or copywriters who feel like they've stalled out in their progress.
Yeah, I mean, I do not think copywriter, marketer, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like, I think maybe like you can be a marketer without being a copywriter, but I do not think you can call yourself a successful copywriter without also considering yourself a marketer. Like you have to understand digital marketing before you can actually, say I've made it as a copywriter.
Do you think that's the case equally in-house versus if you're working as a freelancer?
I think it's the same. I mean, sure, you can write copy, but you are going to just be so limited in your earning potential if you do not understand the context, the marketing context of what you're writing. Would you guys agree with that?
I would have a slightly different answer to that. And maybe Alex, I suspect you would probably say the same thing, because my answer is going to be, I think it's more valuable for freelancers or people who aspire to freelancing than people who work in-house. And then I was going to give reasons. But Alex, do you agree with that? And were you going to give the same and or different reasons?
I agree. I was going to say much the same thing. I was also going to say something exciting, which is that I genuinely believe that the best marketers were copywriters first. I think that copywriting is the lifeblood of marketing. And if you start with copywriting, and if your first obsession, your first love, the first thing you get into is copy and good copy, then you're going to be a much better marketer than people who just go straight into marketing. So that was one thing I wanted to say. Sean, I won't cannibalize what you were going to say, because we're going to say the same thing. And I think you're going to be able to vocalize it better than I can.
Well, cannibalism in general is pretty bad. It could lead to some severe prion diseases. We want to avoid that here on the show.
That's the bad bit about cannibalism, yeah? Leading to diseases in the eater, not the... Wait, I'm not going to talk about this because we're going to get demonetized immediately. Sean, carry on.
5 minutes into the stream.
No, I think we're safe. We can successfully talk about cannibalism. But Rod, I stepped over what you were going to say a moment there. I cannibalized your moment.
God damn it, my arm is gone now. No, I was going to ask Alex, like, can you elaborate a little bit? Why do you think it is that the copywriters are the best marketers?
I think because copywriting has to be like, it has to be so precise. Like, you have to take in so many specifics with copywriting that you're only focused on, okay, how can I be the most persuasive in this one medium, which is with words? Okay. Like that is why I think that if you focus on copywriting and just being persuasive with just a piece of paper, effectively, like just a page, just an ad, like all you have is the words to convince someone. So if you are just focusing on honing that skill, which at its core is psychology and how to persuade someone to do something, then extrapolating that out into different areas where all of a sudden you have access to a big budget and you can decide how things connect with each other, that is like, you've already honed that kind of, that measuring stick that you need for something to be persuasive. Whereas I think going from marketing strategy into copywriting, I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but I think that it's less, it feels less complete, because it feels like you're starting with a bunch of different potential blocks that you could be quite good at. And then you have to come back to learn like the foundation of what good persuasion is. And at the end of the day, marketing is good persuasion, like no matter what level.
My answer was going to be slightly different. And here's why I think that marketing is, beyond a useful skill, an extremely profitable and financially valuable skill for people in the freelance community to have. And the reason for that is because I've worked with and hired freelancers for nearly a decade at this point. 90% of the copywriters in the freelance community are garbage. They are not good. They are bad copywriters, and they have no trajectory or path towards becoming better, and no desire to do so. But they are certainly good at spinning themselves on Upwork. Now, we make videos and have made videos on youtube.com/copy that to help people who don't want to be stuck in that muck and mire. The people that are good, though, one of the issues that they have is that there are sort of gradations or tiers. And one of the problems that I have with people, working that, actually can produce usable, publishable copy, they oftentimes, one of the things that I struggle with, and Lindsay, I think I know for a fact that you've struggled with this too, is that they will produce copy based on what they think should be written with no attention paid to the context of the business. Now, this is important for freelancers more so than people in-house, because people in-house are usually given assignments. They usually know the context of what they're doing because they have been told what to do. They've sat in a meeting. They've gotten a brief, things like that. But people in the freelance community, a lot of the times they're flying blind, and they're sort of like relying on their client to like do the thinking for them. And really what you find is that clients are hiring you to do less work, not more. They don't want to put in the legwork to explain to you in detail every facet of their business and where your piece falls into it. And so having some marketing knowledge, understanding the goals, being able to ask the right questions, that's all contingent upon like what you know about marketing and how it fits into a person's business and how to actually think about that. And so ultimately, I think that marketing skills and knowledge is more valuable for freelancers or people looking to do copywriting as a freelancer. That's my opinion. I could be wrong though. What do you guys think?
Completely agree. And as someone, I'm going to assume I think I know this, of the four of us, I think I have the most freelancing experience from like the ground up, like coming in.
Yeah.
And definitely like what you just said, Sean, I'm going to frame it in a slightly different way, which is that a business wants to pay someone as little as possible to do as much as possible. Like that is what every business wants to do. There are some businesses who, of course, want to spend the most money on an absolute expert specialist. That is not most businesses. I know a lot of people try to sell, I think, new copywriters on like, if you specialize, if you really, really niche down, then you can charge like so much money. And like, yeah, you can to some degree if you like land really, really good clients, but they're not like the easiest to find. Actually, most businesses will pay you a good amount if you can do a few things for them. You don't have to do more work for them. You don't have to work more hours, but to be more useful, to be perceived as more useful, who sounds more useful, really? Let's pretend you're a lay business person, like you don't know anything about copywriting, you don't know anything about marketing. That's why you're hiring someone. Someone who just says, "I'm a copywriter." Most business people go, "What's that?" Like, I don't need any trademarks. But who sounds more valuable? Someone who says, like, I can write words for you. I can, write the text on your website, or someone who says, yeah, I can redo your website for you. I can show you how you should be doing your emails. I can make sure that your ads are running okay, and I can work with your team to make sure the comms you're sending out are actually doing work. Most business people are going to choose the second person. Not the first person. And almost counterintuitively to what you've might have heard in the past, that second person can then charge a lot more money. Believe me, I have tried both, and the second person wins 8 times out of 10 in terms of how much they can get paid, just because they are perceived as more valuable by most businesses. And that's the reality. If you're looking to make money from this, that is a reality. So if you're freelancing, especially, and you're thinking, right, I want to choose my own clients and set my own hours, it's much easier to land jobs when you have marketing strategy at your back, not just copywriting. So yeah, totally agree, Sean.
So we've been talking around now for 13 minutes about why we wish to learn marketing or why it's a good idea to learn marketing. But I am going to, as a copywriter, voice the objections, the unstated objections of the people viewing this right now, which is, but wait, what is a marketing? How does one do a market? What is marketing? Does anybody have an answer to that?
No.
Is the question was marketing?
That was
or
the show,
marketing?
guys. Thank you
That's
so
the
much.
end of the stream.
Are we asking what is marketing or what is marketing strategy? So
Yes.
I have a feeling most people kind of have an idea of what marketing is, but the strategic element may be more foreign.
Well, why don't we start at the beginning, and when we reach the end, we'll stop. We'll start with just marketing. What is marketing?
I mean, I'm going to be seriously basic and say marketing is a way of getting people to buy things from a business. At its core, like foundation, that's what it is. The whole point of marketing is to get people to buy from a business. But that's at the end of the day. Sean, I know you have a nice definition of splitting that out into 2 slightly more manageable chunks.
Well, my 2 manageable chunks, which, by the way, that will get us demonetized. My 2 manageable chunks actually have more to do with marketing strategy, like why do it? Marketing in its simplest form to me is just identifying and reaching out to the prospects that would be ideal for your business. and hopefully trying to monetize them and initiate a paid relationship with them. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. How does one find your ideal prospect? How does one initiate contact with them or reach out to them and put your offers in front of them? How does one monetize them and initiate a paid relationship? There's a lot of different components to that. And a good marketer is going to either know how to do all of that, but there are marketers who specialize in every single individual piece of that puzzle. For example, an acquisition marketer is going to be somebody who specializes in finding a person who would be a good fit for a business, putting ads in front of that person, and getting that person onto a business's marketing list. That could be a mailing list, that could be an email list, that could be anything, at a reasonable cost, such that the business can actually generate profits from showing that person offers. And so that would be an acquisition marketing specialist's job. And obviously there would be strategic components in there. And that's when we would jump from marketer or marketing into marketing strategy. And if we're going to go back to my two chunks, something that only my current wife knows about, marketing strategy really just breaks down to two questions that you have to ask yourself, which is, what is the most cost-effective way of attracting customers? And two, what can you do to arrive at the best way to keep those customers buying? And if you can successfully answer those two questions, you arrive at what is often called your optimal selling strategy. And once you have your optimal selling strategy, then it's game on for a business and for you as a marketer / copywriter / consultant. Because through testing and iteration and trying to answer those two questions, ultimately you're going to be spending a lot of money, but also generating a lot of money for your business.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Lindsay, I think that I would like to hear from you, because you have had a lot of experience in, as Sean said, a big info publishing business. How much does the kind of the term marketing and marketing strategy affect how that business runs and operates?
I mean, it just drives the entire business. There is a marketing calendar that sets the stage of every promotion, every mailing. I mean, what goes in banner ads for editorial, what the marketing calendar is what determines what the biggest opportunities are, the biggest sales opportunities are for a business in that given moment. And yeah, I mean, my definition of marketing is very similar to what Sean described, which is simply identifying a target audience's problems, wants, desires, and matching them with solutions. And that can look like, like we know virtually anything. It can be, billboards on the highway. It can be digital ads on Yahoo Finance. It can be free, SEO articles. It can be paid product offers. So in the broadest sense, that's kind of what marketing means to me. And then the strategy is identifying what the optimal path is and threading all of the selecting which elements are going to work best for you and the product and your company. And then, threading those pieces together to make an effective sales campaign. And then constantly working to optimize that and improve it. And I think that's also a big part of marketing, as I understand it, is just constantly testing those variable pieces that you've threaded together to see if you can identify something that works even better along the way.
Yeah, I want to tell a very tiny story about how I first kind of discovered what marketing is and what it is to me. And to be honest with you guys watching this, I don't really have like a defined strategy, like defined definition of marketing, right? I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, but honestly, for me, it's very basic. It's like just find a way to make more money for a business. Like, how do I do that? And I remember when I was 19 probably, in 18, I was doing a piece of work for a local food delivery company. I was, when I wasn't like hugely confident in my abilities, and I was rewriting a newspaper ad that they had, because I, again, was just thinking about copywriting. And I was like, okay, well, what do they have? They run newspaper ads. Okay, well, this is the newspaper ad. Let me rewrite it. So I spent like ages rewriting it, thinking about what should the headline be and what should this be, and I was quite excited when that next, it was the only local newspaper, but I was quite excited about when that next issue went out, because I was like, oh, well, it's new. It's new for me. Let's see how it does. And I was kind of lucky in that the company themselves didn't like really care like about the results at that point, because it was kind of through a friend, and I was doing the website and stuff anyway. So I was doing other things. I was like writing quite a few bits. I did the newspaper ad, and I was like, oh, let's see what happens. And nothing happened. Like I did all the best copy stuff that I knew how to do, but nothing changed. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I don't want to say it was a light bulb moment where I was like, oh my God, I know the solution. I didn't. I kind of fumbled around for a few more weeks. But then I think I just got the idea of, instead of paying the money to run the newspaper ad, because our, I think, quarterly subscription to that was coming to an end, I said, right, let's try something else. The printers in the same building, they also do leaflets. Let's try that. So did that. Again, don't want to say like, oh, I knew it was going to work, but we did that. And there was a noticeable uptick in orders from the postcode that we dropped, of the few postcodes or zip codes that we dropped the leaflets in. And I'm talking about like, usually would be maybe 2 orders from these streets that we targeted, ended up being something like 10 or 11, like that kind of couple of days. And that was when I first started to realize like that was nothing to do with copywriting. Nothing.
Yeah.
That was just me on post rationalizing what I did, realizing, oh, I changed another component of what I was doing for this business. Didn't change any words, just changed where I was pointing the gun. And all of a sudden, like, there's far more results. So that to me was the first time I kind of realized, going, oh, this is quite good. And that was noticed by the company. And guess what? That was noticed. Yeah, they liked the writing stuff I was doing. But believe me, there was no excitement to them like going from 1 or 2 orders to 10 orders, which I know sounds like really small, and it is compared to like what I've done since. But that was actually seeing their eyes go like, oh my God, like that, we've never seen such a spike before. They were like, the kitchen was so busy. So that was really fun.
That's cool.
And that's why I kind of then realized, oh my God, if I do this for other businesses, they're going to love me. Yeah. And that's kind of how I built my career. It was all around marketing.
I want to, well, first answer a question in chat, and then I want to unpack 2 things there. Yeah. Is this going to be posted on the channel? All of our live streams on YouTube are always on YouTube still. We keep the replays up unless there's a reason not to. You just have to go from videos over to the live tab, and you'll see countless critique streams that we've done for our Patreon supporters. You will see all of our episodes from this particular season in 2023, the long form episodes we have where we do a deep dive into a particular theme, topic, or conversation. So yes, these streams always posted on the channel. But obviously, if you want to ask questions and interact with us live, you kind of have to be here live. The 2 things that I want to unpack in what Alex just said, the first one is a copywriter, when they're given an assignment, like write a newspaper ad, will ask questions like, what is the tone you're trying to achieve? What is the voice? What is the thing that I'm trying to write copy for? Things like that. Basically what you need to effectively write words on a page. A marketer, or somebody who wears both hats, is going to ask a different question. They're going to ask things like, wait, why are we putting this in a newspaper? So that's I hope, trying to illustrate like the difference between thinking like a copywriter versus thinking like a marketer, you'll also notice that thinking like a marketer, not only is it more higher level, it brings you closer to the actual strategic objectives of the business overall. And once business owners realize that they're speaking to somebody that can actually speak to their interests, pain points, objectives at a business level, well, hot freaking damn, now it's almost like two colleagues rather than like, please, sir, may I have another copy gig, please?
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden it becomes a conversation between peers.
So true.
People treat you different when you can start like talking to business owners, to clients at like the sales level, at the business level, using, illustrating to them that your interests align with their interests and their bottom line. They are going to want you around all the time. They're going to invite you into the inner circle meetings. They're going to, take you on networking, excursions. They're going to invite you to this product launch. They just, they want you around because they identify you as someone who is easy to talk to because they don't have to explain themselves. Sorry, that's my garage. Perfect timing. And second of all, they see you as somebody who is just going to make their lives and their job easier and is going to make them a lot of money. And so, that's their hope basically. And so it just, conversations are different when you start to speak the language of marketing to your clients.
Yeah, and I think especially too, like, even if like you aren't getting paid for like a higher thing, just speaking to your client in those terms that they understand will make them treat you better, even in terms of the same scope of work. Like even when I was doing like content writing gigs, and I would ask questions about like, oh, hey, what kind of placements are we doing for this? Like, what are CTAs that you want in here? Or like, should there be a CTA? Where are you getting traffic from? Those people then turn around and were like, oh, wow, like this is kind of like below your pay grade a little bit. Let's like have a higher level conversation about like what we're doing here. And like the communication between us became way, way better. And my job became a lot easier because like, oh, this person actually like cares enough to think about how our business works. And so that's like a really great thing just for client relationships overall, not even just for scaling your money.
Table dragging will begin soon. That's funny. The second thing I wanted to unpack in Alex's original story, by the way, everything that Lindsay and Rod just said, 100%. Rewind the video, pay attention to what they just said, because it's so absolutely true. And it so dramatically improves your ability to get work with the same clients again and again, because they know you can hang. And a lot of networking is just being good to hang with.
Yeah.
For real.
For real.
Somebody asked, what does CTA mean? Call to action. We'll have...
Stick around. You'll hear a lot more about CTAs. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Marketing sounds like branding by your conversation. Branding is a component to it. Branding is actually a strategy, not the strategy, that you can use when marketing something. You can brand something. You can also choose not to brand something. You can choose as a marketing strategy to white label something or to license something. These are all different like business and marketing strategies that one can undertake in order to, again, answer those two questions. What is the most cost-effective way of attracting customers, and what is the best way to keep those customers buying? That's it. Those are the two questions that you have to ask yourself. Now, finally, closing the loop. The second thing that I want to unpack from what Alex's story.
Just before you do.
Okay, but before I do.
No, go on.
Now, the second. I'm not going to do it. That would be really funny if we just kept that loop open for the rest of the show. A good marketing strategy, it's one of three things that can increase revenue or take rate for an offer by leaps and bounds. And there are really just three things that we'll talk about later. Hey, another open loop within another loop that's closing. Anyway, that can really multiply like your actual sales. One of them is your marketing, how you acquire your customer list. And simply by just changing the channel, that's what Alex did. We call them marketing channels. Newspaper was one channel, leaflet, another channel, television, another channel with channels in it, nested channels within channels. PPC ads is another marketing channel. By switching from newspaper ads to leaflet ads, by switching the channel, Alex saw a fivefold jump in response. That's what we're looking for here. And I want to point that out because there are two types of marketers really out there in the world. People of two types of mindsets, from what I have seen in my experience. There are people that look for big changes that can dramatically increase revenue. And there are people that look for small tweaks, little fiddly bits that, eke out another 5%, another 7% increase in response. And by that, I don't mean going from like 5 to 12%. I mean going from like 5 to, 5.24%. I think that would be a 12% increase. Anyway, I'm not going to do that mental math right now. But really what you want to be thinking about when thinking like a marketer is doing those kinds of things, making those kinds of changes and strategic decisions that can take your revenue and 2x it, 3x it, 10x it. Because those kinds of decisions can really change a business. And really, it's the marketers who are going to be able to think in that way, especially when it comes to the list. You can do that with copy too, but you need to work with a marketer in order to do it with copy. So,
yeah. Can I give one point about freelancing? And it's gonna take us into a little bit of an AI tangent, but I promise it's just gonna be like a dip in the water. It's not gonna be a swim. Because Ayush just asked, what are your thoughts on the role of AI in starting a successful marketing career? There's so much fluff about this AI replacing these marketers. Now, the interesting thing here isn't that this question is about AI. We've spoken about AI in the past. We have videos about it. But what I want to say here, I'm going to start with AI and then expunge it into a broader point, which is that AI right now can't be used by every single business in the world to do every single marketing task. Someone still needs to make the decision and say, like, let's point this channel over here instead, or let's spend this much on marketing, or let's completely shift the message we're going with, or let's try this offer to this audience instead. One has to say that, then two, someone has to do that, and then three, someone has to see it through and do all the finicky bits that are related to that, whether that's the copywriting, whether that's the changing of the actual channel, whether that's the settings, whether that's the coordinating with the 4 other jobs that are needed, or the 4 other AI software that are needed if we ever got to that point. So, like, something you need to understand whenever someone talks about AI replacing things, especially in marketing, is that there's so many businesses out there and there's so much to do and there's so much that can be changed, which may sound overwhelming right now. But once you understand that core strategy of marketing, like once you have that in the bag, it's so easy to change things and shift things for businesses and make them a lot of money and make you a lot of money. So the next time you're thinking about that, just remember that there are so many businesses who can't benefit from like AI or anything yet. But the broader point is that most people don't know how to do this. They don't know how to set all this up. They don't, even if we're talking about AI, they don't know where to go with the AI or stuff like that. Regardless of the tools you're talking about, someone still has to know to use those tools. Like they have to know. That has to start somewhere. That can be you to thousands of businesses, thousands of potential businesses. That is the exact way that I have grown my career, was just scooping up loads of businesses, starting small, then getting slightly bigger, then consulting, then working for, massive 8-figure multinational brands. Like that's how it builds. So do not be worried about things like that. As long as you have fundamentals, boom. Oyster, the world is your oyster. The oyster is your world.
Yeah, I just think about like, I think about the best marketers that I know and the marketing meetings that I've sat in, and there's just no way an algorithm can replace like a brilliant marketing mind identifying this kernel of an idea in something that was written by a financial analyst, for example. Marry that with something that's happening in the markets and current events in the world right now. Come up and identify this is an opportunity in the marketing calendar where we're going to talk about this. Like assign it to a copywriter who is going to, come up with the individual marketing bits, communicate that to there's just no way like that can be done by an algorithm. And so at any level, what, like super experienced or even at a small, just individual campaign level, what Alex just says, somebody has to be making these decisions. That will not go away.
I feel like we can go even more basic, which is, Lindsay, earlier today, you were writing some bullets, dozens of bullets.
Earlier
and I know that you
today,
used ChatGPT. Did you find a single usable bullet in anything it produced?
Earlier today, I was blank page writing sales bullets on the fly with a very short time frame, and I needed to just get, something down on the page fast that I could edit. And I go into Chat GPT and I said, give me 20 bullets about, said product. And what came out was just like, I think I called it to you guys, like, this is the point of failure of copy bullets are the point of failure of Chat GPT because it was just trash. I mean, unusable. I tried, 3 different prompts to try to get something usable and it was just nothing there. I couldn't even work with it. So yeah, that was just a very, small microcosm of marketing, coming up with some sales bullets.
Yeah.
I wonder what those bullets could have been for.
We have enough open loops, but I'd like to take the conversation into a different direction, something that relates back to I think a larger conversation, maybe a larger misconception that people have about marketing and marketing strategy overall, which is the difference between marketing in a direct way versus marketing in an indirect way. And I feel very fortunate that we have it's almost like a political alignment chart. We have like completely different and then hybrid personalities that exist on this particular spectrum. But what is direct marketing versus indirect marketing? What is the role of each? Should we know both? Is it worth knowing both? What's the point? And why the distinction?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, do you want to do boring marketing or do you want to do like fun marketing?
Oh, and which one is which, Rod? Shots fired.
Had to fight. I mean, we are the opposite. Yeah, we are the opposite on the political spectrum right now, Rod. So
it's true.
I'm not. Having said, I'm not a fascist. I feel I should. I should say that. I happen to be.
You usually don't even have to say it. So the fact that you are saying it is now like now we have to consider whether or not you are, and so.
Because it's true. Every fascist, they're not a fascist when they say I'm not a fascist.
That's true. They're not a fascist when they say they're not a fascist. That's true. Anyway, okay, yeah, Rod, I take offense to what you just said. See, I can't be a fascist. Because I know that you like brand marketing, but to suggest that it's more fun, probably true. But is it more lucrative? Maybe. Should we explain what the hell we mean?
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, Rod, go on. Start with, there are two, if anyone's watched the 5-hour copywriting video, they'll be already familiar with direct response advertising and indirect response advertising. Now, we usually focus on direct response advertising, but Rod, you have done both in your career. You are now focusing on indirect. So I feel like it would be a best place to start would be you saying what that is.
Yeah. So I think the best place to start with this is like to go back to our definition of like marketing. Like, what is the goal of marketing? What are we doing with marketing? And regardless of what realm you find yourself in, the goal is to get your audience to go buy your thing or engage with your thing at some point in the future. when we talk about direct response marketing, that is almost always we are serving our audience some sort of ad, some sort of solicitation that we are then going to track back from their point of engagement and say, did they engage with this? Did they not engage with this? Sorry, that might be my mic. With indirect marketing, it's a little bit different. If you think about when you watch TV and you see a Nike ad or a Coke ad, it's not, hey, click or call this number now to buy a Coca-Cola. It's just an ad that is supposed to stick in your mind so that hopefully when you go to the store, you're going to see the brand and you're like, oh yeah, I saw the thing on TV. I want it. This is really good or effective for brands that already have a lot of market mind share where you already know about them. It's just kind of serves like a reminder. But the truth is that if you are an up and coming business, no one knows who you are, and you randomly have a commercial on TV that's just like Rod's cheese brand, it's good. No one's really going to engage with that. And if you go to the store, you're going to forget that exists like the moment you see Velveeta.
I want to push back on that just a little bit because there's one ad campaign that did do that successfully.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. That's it. That was the ad.
Right. Your chances of that happening are relatively low unless you strike creative gold.
I mean, yeah. I think though, Rod, what you're saying is totally true. And one thing, and maybe you guys have had this, maybe you guys watching have had this if you've had clients. I have had more than a handful of clients, I would say, over the years say, kind of like Apple does. Or like they reference Apple as like the pinnacle of marketing, going like, oh yeah, we want, let's do it kind of like how Apple does it. Or like, yeah, let's kind of sound like that. And I want to go like, Brian, you run a plumbing firm. You're not selling like $1 trillion brand, okay? And I usually get fired after that. So after a few times, I learned to not say that, but to instead slowly massage them into thinking like, actually, no, let's try this instead. Because the point is, if you have a plumbing firm, you cannot rely on suggestion, like very weak suggestion that your plumbing firm might be the right choice for someone by having some kind of like erotically dressed belly dancer flail around and wave a ribbon, right? Like you can't have that. Instead, you have a very attractive offer that says something like 24/7 call outs for all plumbing emergencies. Click to call now, like guaranteed answer, something like that. Well, if I have a leaky pipe and it's really annoying and it's flooding my kitchen, then okay, great. Well, I know they're going to pick up. I haven't got to fill out an annoying form. Great. If it's just a picture of, Brian the plumber, and I have to scroll down to the bottom of the page to even understand what to do, and it's like an email, I'm going to be like, oh, well, this isn't right for me right now. And that's the kind of difference we need to think. I think a good, do you guys remember the episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a snowplow?
Oh yeah. It's Mr. Plow.
Exactly, right? Like he goes to an advertising agency to do that for him, and there's like a woman breaking a snow globe and stuff. That is exactly how I picture the difference between like indirect and direct response.
I want to say that there's, even within some of the components of marketing, because when people think about indirect marketing, they're going to think of TV commercials. They're going to think of jingles. They're going to think of, really dramatic Nike ads. Not that anybody here would ever write those. Like I think about that second question, what is the best way to keep those customers buying? I'm going to speak from personal experience. In my local area, there was one time where we really needed a plumber. Plumbers near me. And so that first part of the equation, what is the most cost-effective way of attracting customers? We saw a PPC ad. We went to the landing page. We clicked. There were a lot of testimonials. We called. They came. They fixed it. Now, because they did such a good job so fast and at such a reasonable price, and because the brand was so reliable for us, they became the plumbing. We don't Google search for plumbers anymore. We just call the plumbing service that we need. And so an indirect form of marketing was actually having really good fulfillment, having really good operations and procedures. It answered the question, what is the best way to keep those customers buying? Well, perhaps, and this is also part of the marketing equation, it's keeping them happy. And so ultimately, yeah, and by the way, every time they came and like worked on our house, we would always get a business card, always get a magnet. The plumbers that would come to our house always made sure that they left something there to remind us to call them again if we needed anything. And so ultimately, there are many different types of indirect marketing beyond the scope of, oh, one is a commercial versus one is a sales letter. So,
yeah. And you see that too with like, what am I thinking of? I had a really good example a second ago. Billboards are a decent example of this too, where like you're driving on the highway and it's not really actionable if you're driving to like, be like, oh, what's that thing? You pick up your phone and crash into 10, 20 people. But there are so many spaces spaces now where it's like, if you're listening to a podcast and there's like, also, I guess those are kind of direct response, but there are so many places in which like you will kind of like casually brush against brands, or you'll just like be there. You're going through Instagram and you start clicking on like the Nike page itself, and it's not like an ad that's served to you, but just like content basically is a form of marketing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And in particular, so within indirect response marketing, there are what are designed to be paid media, and such as a TV commercial. There's also something called earned media, which has really blown up in the last 25-ish years, mainly because of the sharing functions on social media and email forwarded chains and stuff like that. And what you find with earned media is that with a very small dollar spend in producing the content or whatever it is you're trying to like make go viral, ultimately people become your own mechanism for sharing and disseminating your message to other prospective clients. A really good example, possibly the best earned media campaign I've ever seen, is actually one produced by a colleague of Lindsay's and mine. It was for a beer company, and an ad agency approached this beer company being like, hey, can we create a spec ad for you based on an idea that we have? And they were like, sure. And the spec ad was all about creating biodegradable, disposable, barley-based beer rings for a beer company. Save the turtles, save the planet with barley that we're using anyway. And that ad, it wasn't even an ad.
It was a video. It was a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole premise is, you see these images of these turtles that are just strangled with the plastic beer rings. Some of them, the shell grows around the ring, and like it's just so sad. And those images are very striking. And then they proposed this biodegradable beer ring, and it blew up. It went viral. Yeah,
it blew up. Even though, guess what? The beer ring was invented by the ad agency.
yeah.
Like the company had not actually built this.
It wasn't real.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. And yet it went completely viral.
Yep.
And their business went up as a result. And Budweiser was calling them like, listen,
Yeah.
if you've actually figured this out, we've been trying to crack biodegradable beer rings for like 30 years. We will pay you. Literally, here's a check. It is blank. Give us your formula.
Yeah.
And they couldn't
Yeah, they didn't
respond
have
to
it.
that because they didn't have it. It was all marketing and earned media. So
Yeah.
Creative gold.
Yeah.
Like you said, Rod.
Yeah, that's a real thing too. Like we will get briefs from agency or from like our clients, like, oh yeah, we want this kind of work, and we will come up with the solutions to the problems that are not effective at scale, but for the purposes of like whatever kind of advertisement we're making, get the job done. If you're like, oh my god, that's so cool, but like you could never actually go out and buy it, but it sticks in people's minds, and so then it keeps them coming back to the brand and thinking of the brand as innovative or what have you. And so it's very effective for like that, for sticking in people's heads.
Yeah, they do that in fast food a lot, where there will be an ad campaign and it will be like for some bizarre or disgusting food item, and then the company will be on the hook for like making this disgusting, gross thing for like a limited amount of time, and they have to figure out like how to make it and how to fulfill what the advertising company came up with. I think one that comes to mind, I don't know if this ever got off the ground, but I know it was in a brief. It was a single bucket of chicken, where it's like, rather than a bucket of chicken wings, it was like a whole fried chicken just in a bucket. Would you like to buy a bucket of chicken? And so I do not recall. So like, if the ad agency came up with that, the actual client would have had to figure out like, okay, how do I actually fulfill this? How do I do this?
Yeah.
So
I want to bring this back around for a second, because I know like we've got a lot of people on here and we're all, we're talking about marketing strategies and effective direct and indirect marketing. But like, I want to ask you guys, for someone who is coming at this as a copywriter, they already have to learn copywriting, now they have to learn marketing. Like, it just seems like a really daunting task. Like, and I've been in marketing and copywriting, the direct response business, since 2013. And, so I've been at it for a while, and I know you guys have too, but like, for somebody who's coming at this as a freelancer, maybe just starting in-house, like, how long do you think it would take somebody to learn enough to be able to have a conversation to where they can deliver like meaningful value to their client about marketing strategy in general? What would you guys say?
Oh, very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, I think
not long at all.
I think a lot a lot shorter time than what people expect.
Yeah. I think it comes down to your experience. Like how much experience can you get? How hands-on can you get with it? And so if you're having a hard time, like actually getting to do the work, it can take a long time. But once you're kind of like, you have your foot in the door, you pick it up really quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you remember like how you felt when you first heard about the stages of awareness and you go like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yeah. Like, it just like sheds so much light on copywriting and like how people make decisions. Same thing with strategy. There are some fundamental rules that once you hear them, and you have to have them explained, like the 5-stage awareness, but once you get that, it is a bit like a light bulb. And that's something it took me a long time to figure out, because I wasn't doing it with someone saying, hey, look at this. I was doing it with trying to piece together all this stuff as I was making decisions for businesses and on behalf of them. I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, once you can look back and you go like, oh yeah, I'm just doing these few things over and over again. I just need to understand this angle. It does make it so much easier. Like within a couple of days of learning, probably a few lessons.
I think you could pick up a lot in a week. And someone asked, can you do it within 3 months? I think absolutely. I think I'll tell a story about this. So I had been working in the editorial division of the company that Sean and I were working together in, and I decided I wanted to write a big front-end copy package. And so I wrote one, but then after I wrote it, I was like, now what? Like, where does this go? Where do you guys, marketing team of marketers, where do you put this? And so I started doing what I was actually surprised a lot of copywriters weren't doing at the time. I actually started attending the daily morning marketing meetings, where the marketers were sitting down, they were saying, okay, we are running Lindsay's promo this week, and this is where it went. These were the ads. This is what happened. So I started looking at these metrics, and then I started to understand, well, why did you guys run it there? It actually doesn't make sense to run there, because it was actually a crypto promo, but it was a veiled crypto promo. So I didn't, disclose that it was crypto. I gave it kind of like a creative name, and then but they were running it, I think, to crypto lists. And I was like, well, why are you running it to crypto lists? It's not a crypto promo, And I discovered that like not a lot of marketers actually had read my copy. And so they didn't understand where it was going. And then on top of it, I also understood that not a lot of copywriters were talking to the marketers. And so they, had spent all of this time writing these huge sales letters and then putting it in the hands of people who actually weren't reading it, but were making like big decisions about where the copy was going. So I was like, going to these meetings and asking a lot of questions and starting to pay attention. Within I would say 2 or 3 months, I was writing a memo to the company-wide memo on a daily basis about it, like basically the biggest things happening in the business that day in terms of marketing, in terms of copy, in terms of editorial. And it forced me to have a lot of like really big, important conversations with people, the heads of the team. And I noticed I started getting invited to a lot of inner circle meetings. My bosses started to respect me more. I started getting paid a lot more. I started getting a lot more responsibility, and I started getting like a lot longer of a leash to make decisions and, you know, have conversations with the most important people in the company at the time. So, but it was like within months. I mean, you can, if you start paying attention to the right things and digesting it, understanding it, and learning it, you will just naturally notice a huge leap in your I guess you could say your value to your clients. And if I had to guess, you'll also notice a huge leap in your earning potential with them.
Yep. Like 100% agree. Like,
Yeah.
I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'm just going to say it one line again. Just, if you want to make more money, then being able to say what a company should do with their marketing is the way to do it.
And on that note, I think this is a really important question. How do you tackle imposter syndrome as a copywriter or a marketer? So you're just learning this stuff, right? And we'll tell you the best ways that we think to really start learning this. And again, you can do it in a very short amount of time. But how do you from there start talking to clients, to business owners, to your bosses about these things and not feel like an imposter? What would you guys say?
I have opinions on this.
Mhm.
I actually used to think that my answer for this was always the answer for anxiety is action. And I used to frame it this way in my mind. And once I started framing it this way in my mind, I never had imposter syndrome again, which is everything that we're talking about is a skill. Any skill can be learned. You don't get upset with yourself when you are really bad at javelin throwing the first time that you do it because you've never done it before. Maybe you've only done it 20 times. You're not going to get anywhere close to like world record javelin throwing. Do you have imposter syndrome? No, you just pick up the javelin, you know, like, all right, this is a skill. I haven't done it enough, so I'm just going to do it again. I think about driving or like backing out of a driveway as a car. Do you ever feel imposter syndrome when you're driving? No. I mean, think of it this way. It's a skill. It's a skill you have to learn
Mhm.
over time through repetition. And also everybody else around you has their lives on the line depending upon your ability to execute that skill. Why don't you feel imposter syndrome? Because you're not in your head. You're focused on actually cultivating and executing the skill. I think copywriters and marketers get in their head a little bit because, very simply, they have the time to. Like, they're
Yeah.
not actually thinking about what they're doing. They're just like fretting, like, oh, what if somebody like finds out that I'm relatively new at this thing?
Yeah.
And
And we
the
know
answer,
there's a
yeah,
lot of perfectionists too in the audience, right? People feel
Yeah.
like they have to be perfect at a thing before they actually go out in the world and do it. But it is a skill, and there are gradients of, you know, learning that skill and that you are going to move through. And the more you expose yourself to it, the more you're going to learn. And my I also am a perfectionist by nature. And I remember being at work once, and I was really stressing about a thing, and my boss like said something I'll never forget to me. He said, "Lindsay, we are all pretending. Every single one of us is pretending." And it was so freeing to me because I realized like, oh, like he's probably pretending to know more than he does to his boss, and like all the way on up the ladder, right? And like everybody to a degree is like kind of putting on a front, and like that was freeing for me because I felt like, you know, I wasn't the only one in the room who didn't know a thing, you know, and then, you know, from there, like Sean said, you don't have to disguise anything. Like, you know what you know now, and the more you expose yourself to it, the more knowledge you're going to get, and then as you have more conversations with clients and your bosses and, you know, so on and so forth, you're just going to start offering up that knowledge when you feel it's relevant. And that's how you're going to skill up, right? Like you don't have to present yourself in any way other than what you are. And if you can expose yourself to like digital marketing and marketing strategy for long enough, over a very short time, you will learn enough to feel confident that you can deliver advice or consulting that adds value. Because I think you'll also discover a lot of people don't understand marketing strategy, and you'll very quickly become the smartest person in the room about it.
I think this is also a good time to look at other questions.
Yeah.
Now I've opened that up because we had quite a few in recently. Sean, were you going to say something else?
Yeah, I shared how I framed things that cured my imposter syndrome many years ago, but recently I heard another way of framing things that I think is also very usable for this, which is if you ever feel like you're an imposter, go, I'm not an imposter. I'm a clever fucking con man. Do I deserve this degree? Hell no, but I am going to take it. Do I deserve a 6-figure raise? Nah, not really. But am I going to take it? Oh, hell yeah. Do I deserve a good life? Probably not, but I got one. Heck yes. And so ultimately, once you start changing the frame a little bit in your mind, it doesn't matter which direction you go, the clever con man or the treating things as a skill that you are still in the process of cultivating. One obviously is more humble than the other. Imposter syndrome just dissolves because imposter syndrome is literally your own brain throwing up obstacles in front of you. And the easiest way to stop it from doing that is to not throw an obstacle up in the first place.
Yeah, very much the frat boy Buddhist monk fork in the road of the marketing world. Rod, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I thought you were going to say something more, though. Am I good?
No, I was going to move on to another question. So you
okay, yeah, no. This is such a fascinating question to me because we've actually answered this in the past. I think we have a video titled "What Your Anxiety Really Means." You guys should go check it out after the stream. But in that video, I feel like I said something along the lines of there are different kinds of anxiety that we feel, and some of it is like, normal anxiety that we just kind of, your baseline you as a person anxiety, and that's normal and fine and manageable. And then there's also like you don't know if you can get the work done, and that sort of competence-based anxiety, I think we should be honest about with ourselves and with our potential clients, because, it's fine if you don't know something. It's okay to suck, but just be honest about that so you don't screw someone over. Mm-hmm. However, I am actually right now dealing with a little bit of imposter syndrome because I recently got a new job. I now work in an advertising agency, which I've never done before. I've never worked with like creatives before. And so there's so much lingo, there's so much experience around me. There's like a very well-defined culture that I'm suddenly just in the deep end for, that I have to learn and acclimate towards. And one thing that I've been telling myself a lot that has made it feel a lot better is I may not know everything. I may not think I'm super competent, but everyone else agreed to have me here. And so if I'm an imposter, if I'm a con man, everyone else said this was cool. And so I'm going to let myself, acclimate because, everyone else is fine with it. So why can't I be?
Yeah.
And so, when you get clients who hire you, accept that they hired you, and then accept that, accept yourself for having been hired by that client.
Yeah.
The way my wife would put it is, don't block a blessing. There you go. Yeah. You got a blessing. Why are you blocking it? Shut up.
Yeah.
Go do the work. And so why don't we move on to another question? But also, should we reveal anything? Should we first off give a sort of things that we were going to talk about for the back half of the show, as it pertains to the actual skills that we need, the questions that we need to have, examples of past campaigns that we've run, the most important focus points for prospective marketers, other questions that have been asked. Why don't we take, since this is a podcast, a little bit of an ad break and then snap back to things like, hey, like the two main types of marketing that you can focus on that ultimately answer the two main questions vis-a-vis what marketing strategy. Or, later on in the show, we'll also talk about like the three main focus points for marketing strategy and how it pertains to the goals or objectives that a person has. We're going to talk about all of that over the next hour or so. But before we do that, I think we should probably make an announcement.
We should. I think a good way to make that announcement is to actually highlight a question that has been asked, because I think it segues very well into something.
Alex, I will let you take the lead.
So I'm going to highlight this question from Conrado, which is an awesome name. What's the difference between a copywriter that makes it and the thousands of copywriters that don't? Well, I know we're talking about marketing strategy, and it seems like, well, why you bring it back to copywriting? It's because this is a copywriting channel, first and foremost. Copy that. We all started as copywriters in some way, shape, or form. And I learned during my career, which was predominantly as a freelancer, that there was a big difference between copywriters that make it and thousands of copywriters that didn't. One of those things is persistence, and I've said that in the past. Another thing, there are two ways to make a lot of money as a copywriter, that, as I understand it and as I have seen, the people who make a lot of money as a copywriter, they're either one of two things. They are either a really, really good, well-respected copywriter who is working in a niche like financial, of which there are, Sean, how many financial copywriters are there in the world? Like 200, you said?
250 to 300.
Okay,
tops.
So not many. When you think about the tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people who have watched our videos. So there's either you kind of go down that route and you try to be one of the 250 who just focus on copywriting and just do that, who earn like good money. And you may well make it. Or the route that I have taken, the route that the majority of people who I know who are making money as a copywriter have taken, is to load your arsenal with marketing strategy and marketing skills to supplement that core of copywriting. So a big difference between the copywriter that makes it and the thousands of copywriters that don't is the thousands that don't kind of stick as being happy as just a copywriter, which means they can never quite break through that ceiling. They're never going to reach that kind of level of being those 250 financial copywriters or the ones in the info publishing space who are making millions, of which I think there's probably even less than hundreds who are making millions.
Or even.
Yeah, shut up. Don't be a copywriter, because you turn into a dick as well. So either, like, you messed up my whole flow. Okay, so either you focus on that and you try to become one of the 100 or so copywriters in the world who are making $1 million+ dollars, or you instead don't settle for average and don't fail by shooting for the absolute stars of copywriting. You load everything around you with other complementary skills, and those skills are what convince businesses to pay you a hell of a lot more money, because in their eyes you go from being copywriter, whatever that is, to marketing consultant. And believe me, marketing consultant is a very highfalutin term that businesses know, respect, and will pay a lot of money out to. Seriously, consultants get paid stupid amounts sometimes, like crazy stupid amounts. So what's the difference between a copywriter that makes it and the thousands of copywriters that don't? Most of the copywriters who make it, who I know, including myself, decided to learn marketing strategy and put that into the pitches that they do to clients and go beyond just the copywriting and the text. So in that kind of mind frame, we decided to build a collection of resources, effectively a course, all about marketing strategy, because it is kind of an intimidating beast when you look at it, because there are so many components to it potentially. And I didn't know where to start for many, many years. So we decided to put something together that is actually going to be very useful for you. So does someone want to throw up the link to the page where we explain what it is?
I'll do one better. This is it.
Oh, he's just showing it.
And
all right.
Yeah, this is the link.
There we go. So if you're interested, and remember, this is the ad break. We're going to go on to talk about like how to start this marketing strategy journey. Yeah. But if you are interested, we do have a note at the top there, and I want everyone to look at it and seriously study it. This course is intended for people who are already earning money from copywriting or marketing. Okay, like, this is not intended for newbies. So if you're a newbie, don't go and buy this. Go and have a look at all of our other free resources and everything else we've done, because this is meant to help people skyrocket their careers who are already like earning money, okay, and can afford to buy a course to learn about it. We are charging money for this because this actually took a lot of time, planning, effort to compile, and it's sharing the reason that we make a lot of money. But if you're a beginner, don't think that this is going to be your kind of like golden ticket. It's not. It takes work, and there's other things you've got to do before this. But if you are a copywriter and you are kind of stuck at an earning ceiling, as I like to call them, where you're kind of struggling to have breakthrough clients or move to that higher level, or if you're someone who is already interested in marketing, just doesn't know where to start, then go and have a look at this page, read it. We explain exactly what is in it and what we've put together for you. Because this does just explain from 0 to 100, from beginning to end, like what marketing strategy is, the fundamental skills that you need, and those core components you have to understand to get it right, no matter who you're working with, no matter the size of the business, niche, anything like that. And then also a bunch of real life practical applications of how to swipe, of how to look at marketing strategies and apply them, the types of components to strategies, the tactics you use within them, all that kind of stuff. So we didn't actually total up how many hours of videos there were in this one.
I think that there's between 15 and 20 hours of bespoke content, stuff that is not currently available on the Patreon. I think we're going to release 1 or 2 of the bonuses onto Patreon. And for that reason, we're going to give all of our patreon.com/thecopythatshow supporters a $20 discount off the current price, which is going up. This is a launch. And so anybody watching this video after July 1st has to pay full price. But if you buy it now, you get, 40% off what we're going to charge eventually?
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just want to emphasize something that Alex pointed out earlier, which is if you are not currently making money from copywriting, we do not want you to buy this, because ultimately we want you to have a toehold first, because some of the stuff that we talk about in this particular series, this compendium of masterclasses and videos and courses and guides that my wife, I want to brag a little bit. So I'm going to change the tab really quick because I'm really proud of my wife for putting this together, which is somebody was asking earlier about KPIs, and my wife she does all of our thumbnails.
Yeah, while you pull that up, KPIs are key performance indicators. If you want to learn the language of marketing speak, and remember, they say on average it takes 2 years for the average person to learn a new language. Well, you can learn the language of marketing in 35 pages, because it's all here. We go through the most important KPIs that you should know when you're doing digital marketing. And not only that, like what it is, how do you use it, how do you calculate it, when you use it, all of that. Yeah, don't give it all away, Sean.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The person can just...
hey, guys, if you'll you'll just pause the screen and you'll get the first 6 pages.
Sean's really proud of it.
I'm very proud. My wife
It's
is
beautiful.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, this is one bonus. And again, like we discussed earlier, I have been at this business since 2013. I know you guys have been at it a long time. You don't have to be at it that long. We condensed much of what we know about marketing into this course for you. And this is everything we think you need to know to be successful with your clients, in your in-house job. And you should feel confident coming out of it that you can actually, show up to these meetings and deliver a lot of value with your copy, with your new marketing chops. Yeah.
I mean, God, yeah. Sorry, Sean, go on.
No, I was just going to say that there is one thing that you are not going to get if and when you purchase this, which is that Lindsay and I recorded hour and a half long, 2 hour long bonus stream where we showed people how to funnel hack. What is a funnel? A funnel is anything that you do in your marketing to ascend people, like bring people on at a lower cost or ascend people to keep them buying again. It could be email sequences, it could be upsells, downsells, cross sells, phone calls, things like that. We had a whole like 2-hour masterclass where we went even deeper into like the theory of funnels than our current free YouTube video, and also how to funnel hack businesses and how to get into the funnel. Speaking of which, this comment is just, you're hilarious. Thank you.
I love it.
But one thing that I lament is that our beautiful editor, Noah, completely cut out a portion of the video, which is I introduced a strategy, a type of funnel strategy, which I labeled the nice shoes wanna fuck type of funnel. And that's just all gone now. It's all gone. The difference between the, hey, baby, nice shoes, wanna fuck, versus the nice person, the nicer, calmer,
Nice guy in a bar.
Yeah, the nice guy in a bar kind of funnel. And, because of the algorithm and because of people's sensitivities, all of that was cut out. And so I'm mentioning it here as part of the pitch because I have... I'm just a bad marketer, I guess.
Yeah. And again, we have that note up there. It's not intended for people who are just getting started, but like, I do want to circle back around and talk about very quickly, again, summarize why copywriters should learn how to do marketing. It is because your copy is not going to live in a vacuum. So don't make your clients work to take the words that you put out and it's like, this doesn't really fit. It's not, it's good writing, but it doesn't really fit the overall strategy that we're trying to do as a business. Like, you don't want that. They're not going to hire you. You're going to get fired. Your copy does not live in a vacuum. Number two, what your clients really want, they'll tell you they want copy, but what they really want is sales. And how do you produce sales as a copywriter? You need to marry your words, your copy, with some form of strategy. And so, that's another reason why it is important that you ultimately come to have a good understanding of marketing strategy. It'll just make you more business savvy. And when you can align your interests with the business owner's interests, your client's interests, your boss's interest, they're, again, going to start treating you differently. You're going to be a MVP, you're going to get invited to all the inner circle meetings, and you're ultimately going to make more money because you're going to get exposed to a lot more responsibility and so on and so forth. And then as a fourth reason, like, it's not actually that hard to learn. As we discussed, you can learn this stuff in a few months and be, quite well versed in it, enough to feel confident that you can deliver strategic value to your clients. And then as like a bonus reason, it's also just because it's like really fun and addicting. It's great when you can write something, but then, when you hand it off, you don't have any context for what happens with it. It's like kind of a buzzkill. You put in a lot of work in your copy and you ultimately have no control over its destiny. But when you can start getting involved in the sort of thing that Alex described earlier, where he made a tweak to a strategy, put it out in the market, saw it blow up, like, that's right, Alex? Is that not insanely addicting and fun? Like, there's nothing like it.
100%. I mean, in the course, actually, in my it's one of the 3 masterclasses I do in it. I think it's the main one. It might be another one, but I show I talk about a strategy I did recently, that I implemented recently, which just saw, there you go, it's that screenshot right there. So you can see, I explain what that is, but you can see on the end of that middle, like the MacBook screenshot, you can see like the difference that just one tweak in strategy made to results. Like,
I love that image. Yeah.
Within a month. It's crazy. And like, it feels amazing. It feels so good. So yeah, 100%. And yeah, like to the kind of point about what's in there and what are we looking at. The main masterclass I did for this, which I think I've called the missing piece of the puzzle, that one, building marketing strategies that work. I wanted to break something down, much like I did in the 5-hour video on YouTube. I wanted to break it down into its core parts. Like, okay, how do you even do marketing strategy? Like, what is it? How can I look at any business, at any existing funnel, any non-existing funnel, any product, and build something around that makes sense? And I'm extremely proud of what I have come out with, because it's been the combined work of like years of trying to understand what works and what doesn't. So yeah, that's, I think, like a 54 slide masterclass of how to build a marketing strategy no matter what. You guys then supplement that with actually looking at the specific tactics and channels that people use that then kind of equates my core components that I was trying to bring up. So yeah, I'm very, very, very proud of this.
As you should be. I mean,
It's good.
for those who are kind of like just tuning in and maybe learning a little bit about us, Alex, you started primarily freelancing, and now you are the marketing director and given the responsibility of heading up the entire sales team of a major healthcare company, right? And
Yeah.
you're the marketing mind that's driving this company, and it's the same marketing mind that put together this this masterclass. And so again, you can feel confident coming out of this that you will have learned enough to be able to deliver a lot of value to your clients.
Speaking of delivering value to clients, getting hired
Yeah.
as a marketing consultant or copywriter that wants to start getting into or offer things to test to a client.
Mhm.
One of the things that we do in the A/B testing masterclass that Alex and I recorded, not only do we explain the theory of A/B testing, but we went completely off the rails about halfway through this 90-minute mini masterclass, and we just literally started off the top of our heads just rattling off A/B tests where like clients are typically unwilling to like go with these things, or like these are common problems that businesses have. And then we started rattling off tests that you can propose to clients that we kind of know the answer to, kind of like have seen these boost sales. And so you can just like steal all the A/B tests that we just were rattling off one after another, and then just pitch them to clients as things that they could potentially do to improve their marketing strategy or even improve their copy. So
that's what I love about doing these like kinds of products, is that once you know this stuff, it's not like you know it, you hit the level, and then you have to keep going to keep up with trends. It's like once you know this stuff, you can apply it to just any company basically that you work with. That's all I've done for the last. I think there's a quote from Napoleon, which is like, I think after like towards the end of the career, I think always says something like, I fought in 30 battles, and there's nothing that I know now that I didn't know when I started. And like that's how it feels knowing this kind of stuff, because it's just like, oh right, I'm using the same A/B tests that I used 2 years ago in a completely different niche, but it still works. And of course, there's always more to learn, and you can always improve and get better and learn new things. That's why I love the industry we're in. But yeah, it's really good. Agree, Matt. I get called Matt so much. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
or was
Mr.
someone?
Myatt.
Oh no, he was talking to someone.
No,
called
he's
Matt.
responding.
That's why.
He's responding to.
enough.
Another
Yeah,
Matt.
you're getting a lot of you're getting compliments about the 5-hour video.
Well
thanks,
deserved, I
guys.
might add.
Well deserved. Yeah.
yes.
Thank you guys. No, I get called Matt so much though. I get mistaken for Matt, and I thought it was another one. I was like, why? And it's because of Myatt, but I forgive you, Paula's picks. Anyway, so yeah, that's ad over. So yeah, but
Yeah.
again,
Yes.
if you're a copywriter and you want to break into marketing strategy and earn more and break through that ceiling, go buy that. I'm not expecting, and this is just for us guys as well, us four, like I'm not expecting a ton of sales on this. I don't want a ton of sales on this because I don't want our audience to go and buy this. I want, if you're watching this and you're like, shit, yeah, I really want to know about marketing strategy, or I really need to break through that ceiling I'm at as a copywriter, then go and read it and go and consider if it's for you. Not for beginners. But super
It is
fun.
not for beginners.
It was very
But
fun to make.
if you want to level up, that's a way to level up. We have another video, how to level up your copywriting game in 2023. This is actually an answer to a previous question that we received. The actual skills that one needs to learn as a copywriter to improve. Well, if you want the marketing skills that you would need to learn to actually call yourself a marketing consultant. We did our best to put everything in there with, well, one exception that I mentioned earlier, but another exception, and that is the answer to this question. I have a question. I know this is about strategy. That's what the whole course is about, but will it also cover the technical part of setting up ads, or is this a skill that media buyers should have? Now, it doesn't have the technical component. It doesn't teach you how to set up a Google ad campaign, for example. And there's a good reason for that. I don't think we're ever going to actively pursue trying to publish that kind of content. I will tell you why. If we put out this course a year ago, a year and a half ago, and part of it was the technical component, like how to set up tracking in Google Analytics, for example. Well, we would have been blindsided by Google because Google is completely getting rid of one of their tracking things, the Universal Analytics tracking key. And they're switching to, what is it, GA4, I think it is. And so we would have had to, our product would have been instantly obsolete, basically, that moment. And then also, like with Google Ads, for example, they recently have been pushing hard to get everybody onto what are called dynamic ads and also performance max campaigns, whatever those are. I know what those are, but like you can go and look up this stuff on your own. And really, if we were not just top of mind, like if they were announced the day after we released this, the product would have been obsolete. And so there's no point in pursuing the technical aspects of this.
But also more than that, I hate to use this term, but Sean, you and I worked with a lot of knob twiddlers, right? That's what we called them in marketing. Yeah. We don't want you to become one of those, someone who's in a desk who's, twiddling campaigns all day. We want you to be, and we want to train you to be, hence the marketing course. We want to train you to be the type of person who knows just enough of that stuff to be dangerous, but who is very squarely with one foot in copy and ideas and pitching big marketable ideas and writing them and being able to talk with the best marketing minds in your business or, with your client about just marketing strategy in general. You can know enough of, the actual campaign setup and all of that to be dangerous. And you can learn that stuff with other courses, but that's not where we want to focus. We don't want you to focus your time on that either, because we ultimately want you to make the most money and be as successful as you can with your copy and marketing endeavors.
Exactly. Like eking out another % or 2 in conversion rate or getting $1 down on your cost per lead metrics, which, by the way, all that is available in the KPI guide, that we put
and you
together.
Can learn how to do it. You can go learn how to be a skilled media buyer. You can actually get paid a lot of money to do it. But again, that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is bigger picture. Now, speaking of, now that we've had a 20-minute ad for our thing about marketing ads, why don't we move on to more actual value? Let's give people specific skills, specific knowledge that they can use to become dangerous, as we have promised.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly, Simon says it's not time limited, is it? The price is currently the lowest it will ever be, and in July the 1st. So for this month, it's the lowest it'll ever be. Then we're taking the price up because we always like rewarding people who are here live with us. Similarly, if you're a patron, we should put out the Patreon link. Then you get money off because you're already. That's just one of the perks of being a patron, right? So hopefully that answers your question. But the offer itself, you're always going to be able to buy it, just not at this price forever.
Yeah, and one thing too, and I don't know if this is giving away the bag a little bit too much, but the discount that you get for being a patron is the same as 1 month of subscribing to the Patreon. So if you're considering getting it, you might consider first signing up to Patreon, getting the special discount code from there, and then purchasing it. Just so you get all the benefits that come with Patreon, plus all the strategy stuff too.
Good point.
Yep.
Smart.
Great. All right, moving on.
Okay.
Value.
So why don't we move on to one of the most basic concepts that a burgeoning, I love that word, burgeoning marketers should know the difference between front end and back end marketing. What is that difference, and what does that look like in a practical way?
Front end marketing is the marketing that you do to acquire a first time customer, and back end marketing is the marketing that you do to further monetize someone who has previously purchased something from you before.
Absolutely.
Next question.
But do those two look different?
Well, yes and no. Depends. That famous copy that answer. It depends. but at its core, you need to approach how you treat your front end and how you treat your back end very differently. Now, just to get the semantics out of the way, when we say your front end, we're talking about the people who aren't yet your customers. That's when we refer to the front end, that's what we mean. The products that are intended to get people on board who aren't yet customers. When we talk about the back end, we're talking about people who have already bought from you and you're selling them something else. Now, all the same, fundamentals of persuasion still apply. It's not like people suddenly switch how their brain works as soon as they buy something from you. But if you are looking at the front end and the back end in exactly the same way and just thinking, oh, well, it's just selling, right? Like I'm just selling, I don't need to change anything, then you're making a grave error. I have examples both ways of this. And I think actually what might be the most beneficial for people watching is, shall we each give an example of a front end, back end product relationship in a niche? Like obviously I can do e-commerce, I think, and many different e-commerce niches, but it'd be good to see how they're treated in different industries and how different companies approach front end and back end marketing. All good?
Kick us off.
Oh, I got to kick you off? Okay, I feel like mine is the least intuitive though.
Then we'll go with Lindsay first, because Lindsay and I are going to have the exact same answer.
Yeah, I'll give the financial one then, Sean. In the financial, direct response financial world, the front end is a big idea sales letter, VSL, but it's basically just one big, more evergreen idea that is selling a newsletter at a lowish price point. So basically under $100, typically under $50, sometimes even less than that as like a book offer or something like that. So that in the financial world, you run ads and you push people to buy a front end product, and then you upsell them down the line or you monetize them further on more expensive products that are typically more bound by urgency, scarcity. There's maybe more exclusivity, things like that. And so that's ultimately the financial front end, back end. Do you have anything to add on there, Sean?
Yeah, a key thing too is once you have a more sophisticated and bigger business, you can have multiple back ends. I don't know what sort of radiation you would need to be exposed to in order to develop those back ends, but either way, however you get them, once you start showing your various back ends to your existing paying customer, what you can do is you can really start like emphasizing different products, and you can even retool the copy around the same product to be about a different idea, to be coherent. For example, if you bring people on with a different front end idea, you can sell a similar or the same back end product using a different idea that's more coherent with what initiated that sales relationship in the first place. Then once you have either multiple front ends or multiple back ends that are working more or less consistently, then you can do what is called a bundle or alliance offer, which is literally what it sounds like. It takes everything that you are putting together, and then it further monetizes your back end subscribers with a bundle offer. And then if you have a partnership or a joint venture going on with a different business, you can set up what are called alliance offers or JV offers. A lot of marketing businesses do this because it just creates more and more and more revenue for your business. And yes, it requires more relationship building. The key thing to keep in mind with back-end offers, all back-end offers, is that what are we offering here? Now that you have the customer, now that you have the relationship, what can you offer? There are only a few things that you can actually offer on the back end, and that is bigger, faster, more, or basically a closer relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Those are the only sort of emotional triggers that you can really rely upon consistently to sell a back end. And so as a result, since you do have that relationship, your copy can be much more direct rather than like, hey, have you heard the biblical secret for curing joint pain on the front end? The back end then becomes like, hey, did you love our Geliatol, hair regrowth system? Well, if you love that, you are going to love our splicky splacky foot fungus remover, something along those lines. You can be much more meta and descriptive and direct once you have a customer that you no longer have to like softly bring into the fold or into the funnel.
Yeah, nice. And I think I'll now kind of go into e-commerce. Generally, of course, different niches do different things to an extent. But what Lindsay and Sean just described is a very, very typical kind of info publishing strategy and way of looking at front end and back end, i.e. you have specific offers built for the front end and you have specific offers built for the back end. Now, that can be true in parts of e-commerce, of course, and in many things like SaaSes, of course, it's very common to get someone in on, for example, a free trial. Like, it sounds obvious and stupid, but a free trial is a front-end offer. You may not think of it. You may think, yeah, but like that's just a free trial. It's its own thing. No, it's a front-end offer. You're getting someone on board via a free trial. Then you're not going to offer a free trial to someone who's already bought because it doesn't make sense. So it's built for the idea is try and get people through and to become a paying customer. Now, in many e-commerce stores, I want you to imagine a sports goods store that sells, let's say, tennis rackets. All right. Is a tennis racket a front-end offer? Yes and no. It depends what you buy first. Now, you can't really set up a tennis racket. I mean, you could, but it would be an odd thing to set up a tennis racket among thousands of other tennis-related products as kind of like the front-end offer to get someone in to buy. It's weird for that to be the only thing that you want to sell to someone immediately. Like, imagine you had this store full of thousands of products, but you say the only thing you can buy first is a tennis racket. It's like, yeah, but I want to just buy the tennis balls and like a new net. I don't need a tennis racket. Like, no, you can only buy this first. We're not going to show you this stuff unless you buy that. It wouldn't work. It doesn't make sense. Now, so in a world like e-commerce, where you typically have more products available to browse in an easier way, front end and back end are treated fairly differently. You don't focus so much on the product, but you focus, still similar to the info publishing, you focus on how you treat them after they've become a customer. Now, any product someone buys first, that is a front end product. That's what the definition is. So if someone Googles tennis balls, your ads come up first and they buy those tennis balls, brilliant. That's the front end product. It then makes sense on the back end to potentially sell them something else related to tennis balls. So you can still set up little dynamics where you have a front end offer and a back end offer, but it doesn't mean they're exclusively those. Similarly, someone could come in and buy the tennis racket first and then be sold tennis balls. But a key thing in really, I would say any or the vast majority of businesses is the way you treat someone once they have become a customer can be very different. When someone has bought something from you, it's a natural thing to think, okay, now they've bought from us, I'm going to kind of leave them alone because, they've done the thing I wanted them to do. They've bought, I don't want to annoy them. I hear that from clients all the time. I don't want to bug people. I don't want to annoy people. I don't want to send them loads of emails. The exact opposite is true. Once someone's bought from you, well, as Sean and Lindsay said, like they are saying, I trust you. So you can have a much more direct relationship with them. So you can then say, hey, here's another offer that we suggest. Like this went well with what you had, or we're having a sale because this is the last pallet of stock we're getting in. why not get one for yourself now? It's perfect to send those kinds of offers to people who have bought before, because they already have made the biggest leap in objections. Like, they already have given you their money, and they hopefully have been proven that it's been proven to them that you have good service. The thing arrived and wasn't broken, and they felt like it was a good decision to do that. So in certain e-commerce stores, especially one where there's loads of ranges, it's less important about what product you push first. It's more important what you do after someone has bought whatever front end product they have. Of course, there are exceptions where there are some e-commerce companies. Air fryers are a good example, where no one would buy like the cleaning kit for an air fryer without first having bought the air fryer. Okay, so if you're like spending loads of money just pumping air fryer cleaning ads at people who don't know anything about air fryers, kind of pointless. That's a weird front end offer. So really, you would be wanting to put the air fryer in front of people as the thing you want them to buy first. So there's always exceptions, but it's important not to just think that, right, there has to be a front end offer specifically, and there has to be a back end offer specifically. Sean?
Yeah, I want to add to that, which is a really good example of what Alex just described is Crocs, the shoe Crocs. Like, once you have a front end customer who has bought a pair of Crocs, they're a Croc customer for life. I don't get it. But a whole sort of like cottage industry has cropped up around customizing Crocs. They're like little bejeweled dangly bits that you can like sort of thread through the holes in these molded, ugly plastic shoes to make them more attractive and more personable, even though you could just have bought a better shoe in the first place. I don't get Crocs. But if you were selling Crocs, you can absolutely, yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Those are the Crocs I just bought my daughter.
That's child abuse.
That's
she's all bejeweled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was never a Crocker either. Now
you're in the funnel.
I'm in the funnel.
Yeah, you became a front end customer, and now that you are bejeweling your daughter's Crocs, you are now a back end customer for Crocs. And that is marketing.
You call it a crock pot of shit.
Not bad. Killing
exactly.
Sean.
And now we have people spreading Croc propaganda in our comments.
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
I like
sport mode.
So that was a basic introduction to front end and back end marketing. It obviously goes a little bit deeper than that. We obviously go deeper into our course, but once you understand that basic distinction between like initiating a relationship with somebody versus like monetizing relationship a little bit further and thinking like what offer goes best with what, that's part of marketing strategy. And if you can do that effectively, especially for a business that's not doing that well, you can make a lot of money. A really, really good example for that would be like I once worked with a candle making company, and this candle making company was just selling people candles and then doing no follow-up with their customers whatsoever. And so I was just like, would you like to make more money? Why don't you just like collect emails like on the sign up page or the purchasing page, and then just like have a welcome email with like people who buy candles. Guess what the back end product for a good candle sale is? Another candle. People who buy candles love buying candles. They love it. They just love it. And so the easiest thing to do then on the back end is not to have, you know, like I said before, like the secret to back end marketing is, you know, bigger, faster, more, or like a deeper relationship. So you sell them more of the same thing, and it works really well.
Yeah, I know people don't really understand this psychology. Like sometimes it doesn't feel intuitive to people. So I want to give an example that just happened to me today, and it wasn't selling something, but was asking for a testimonial. So my husband's a realtor, just closed a deal, and he is going to send a flyer to their community to try to solicit other sellers because he sold, you know, this condo at a record selling price. And so I had encouraged him, well, just ask the sellers that you just worked with for a testimonial. And I think like that's always awkward for people, right? You just got something from them and now you're going to go ask for another thing, right? So We sent this message that's like, hey, I know you're moving. Whenever you have time, if you wouldn't mind, we want to set on a marketing flyer. Would you mind, giving us a testimonial? Absolutely zero rush on this. And of course, the client's like, absolutely. Like, we just closed on our condo today and you got me $200,000 above what it should have been. I'm thrilled, but like, we didn't even tell them like where to submit their testimonial. Go here, make it look like this. Like there was nothing. And so quickly whipped up survey, send them this, and sent it. And now it's like, it's go here, submit your testimonial here. People want to be told what to do. They want to be told where to buy more of. They want to be shown where they can buy more of, what you just offered, or like things, or the bejewels for the Crocs or whatever. People want to be shown this stuff immediately after they buy. So you are not offending anybody. It's not too aggressive. It is just the natural psychology, right?
Yeah. And think about the way that you, as a viewer, consume content on YouTube. When you watch a copy that video on, I don't know, starting out as a copywriter, and then you find yourself having gone through a whole playlist of videos, even though first you were only going to watch the one thing. It's like if you find one video that you like, you're like, oh my God, I want more. And now I'm going to watch a video about something that I never really thought I was going to watch or cared about. And, it's definitely like deeply rooted in human psychology.
Absolutely. And the algorithms have really figured that out, which is, these business models work by keeping people on platform. And so what the algorithms exist to do on a marketing basis is figure out like what to show people next to keep them on the platform. And that, I think, should take us to the next little bit of marketing strategy that people should start to learn, or at least investigate further if they want to like get a toehold in marketing strategy as a copywriter. And that is the sort of three pieces, the three pillars of marketing and strategy that one can really become adept at or really grow their skill in. And this ties to something that Alex says, which is like the point of marketing is to make sure that what you are doing gets seen, make sure that what you are doing is liked, and make sure that what you are doing gets bought. 3-stage process. And really, you can map those one-to-one with three very simple things. The list, that is your list of either prospects or customers. The copy, that is the things that you show to your list. And then the offer, the things that you are trying to sell to that list that would be enticing to them. Obviously, in terms of marketing strategy, you might one day find that you're working for a business that is like, oh, I'm going to throw out an example. A tailor who makes bespoke suits. And all of a sudden, you're going to find that this tailor who makes bespoke suits is going to want to release an info product on the back end about, I don't know, dressing well? Who even knows? And so you have to think to yourself, if you are hired by this person as a copywriter or as a marketing consultant, like, hey, is this coherent? Is there a clear through line from building a list for this bespoke suit tailor and ascending them to the point where like now all of a sudden this person also wants to buy a masterclass on bespoke suits? I don't even know what that would look like. And so again, going back to what I said before, the copywriter says like, okay, what do you want the tone of voice to be? What proof points do you have? What testimonials do you have, et cetera, to execute the copy well. But somebody who thinks in a more marketing minded way will ask like, wait, what is your objective here? What is your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by doing this? And is what you're suggesting the best way to accomplish that goal? Alex, I think you have maybe a few things to say on goals and objectives.
Yeah, and I mean, I go into a lot of depth into this in the 2-hour masterclass in the course, but at a beginner level, effectively every marketing strategy, we can debate what marketing strategy means to different people. But in my experience, for anything to be effective, for you to affect change, ideally better results in a company, every marketing strategy you have, it needs to be based around one objective. You need to be better around one thing. So you have one objective, one strategy, another objective, another strategy. Like, this is the point. So if your objective as a company is to sell more of X product, then you need a strategy for that. And it's only by noting what it is you actually want to do that you can then start to like backtrack and understand, okay, well, what do we build around this? A major problem, and it's something I dive into more in the masterclass. A major problem with businesses, and I'm talking about the majority of businesses. So the majority of businesses do not have a skilled marketer on staff. They don't. The majority of business, they hear a word, they hear a term like marketing strategy, and they think, that is social media, that is email list, that is running some Facebook ads. Like, that's what they think a marketing strategy is. They think that it's components. They think it's mediums. They need to have certain things. They need to just all be firing off at loads of different people. And that's our strategy. You say, what's your strategy? They say, oh, well, it's we have social media and we publish SEO content. It's like, no. What's your strategy? Like, what are you actually trying to achieve? And then how can you prove that each point is doing something to achieve that? So without that core focus of this is what we want to do, there's no point in doing anything. So you need to start with that objective of what you want, and then logically you need to backtrack. I cannot like explain how to do that in this video because it would be another 2-hour video. But
Yeah, Sean, you're muted.
no, it's funny this way. Let him keep going.
Okay.
Just on that point really quick, somebody earlier asked us to list every marketing channel there is, and I was like, what? There's hundreds.
Yeah.
It's impossible to describe. And also there are new ones coming out every single moment. The main ones that you're going to be focusing on if you're getting freelance work is typically with digital marketing. Typically, the focus on acquiring customers is typically through PPC ads or promotion campaigns to raise either a website to the top of a search or to make something appear on Google Maps if it's like a near me kind of search. And then you're going to have a landing page based on where people can click. And then you're going to have what you can do with them after they get to that landing page. Have them put in their email address or have them call, have a chatbot, for example. Those are all different marketing channels using or utilizing a landing page. And then each one, it's like a Borges, the Garden of Forking Paths. Like,
Yeah, it's just endless.
You have one starting strategy that branches off into many different things that you can do from there. The easiest thing to do in terms of marketing strategy is Google PPC ad or Facebook PPC ad or Taboola or Outbrain PPC ad to landing page to collect an email address. Once you collect the email address, show them some sort of offer, and if they don't accept that offer or do accept that offer, that's going to be your front end right there. And then once you have that email address, start sending them emails on a daily basis for a certain amount of time. This is typically a welcome sequence that shows them either the same front end offer or different offers that you have. And then once people buy a front end campaign, show them back end offers, typically either with one-off email blasts or in a welcome sequence once they become a customer. And so there you have it. That is a marketing strategy. That is a way to get leads and monetize them and then monetize them further. There you go.
Yeah. And similarly, I'm going to do a really, really quick one, which is a completely different like style. And this is where we mean you have to know the fundamentals. Let's say that your objective is to sign up more investors to your business, right? Get more people to invest in your business, which if you're working for a business, that can be a very real thing that a business wants. Like, we want more people to invest in us. So then you have to build a marketing strategy to get more investors in. So instead of just going, oh, okay, well, let's do social media and let's do email. Like, no. Start with, okay, well, who would be the investors? Like, who's we targeting? Who are our audience? Where are they? First of all. Well, we maybe have a list of investors we can go out to, or we can go to someone like EY or another kind of big financial company who will have groups of people, or they're at networking events. And then we go, right, well, we have this list. So let's build out a specific newsletter for them and just send it to them. How are we going to make sure they read the newsletter? Well, now we need to look at what it is that the markets seem to be interested in right now in health tech, for example. Or we know that there is this event coming up where investors make a lot of decisions. So we need to make sure we are combining and refining our strategies into this event and into sending people and material that's going to be the most useful and a presentation that actually makes sense for investment. Like all these things that's still a marketing strategy. Like that's you're trying to convince someone of something for the benefit of your business. That's a marketing strategy. It started with an objective, but without a fundamental understanding of what you should even be doing, like you don't get that. And the example Sean just gave, the example I just gave, they're both to do with marketing, but in very, very different areas. So how can you expect, for example, us right now to list like every single channel or every single situation? It's not possible without knowing how you build those in the first place. And that is what I break down in the video. And that's what Sean spoke about earlier of those three kind of core stages. Like that's what you have to master if you want to go out to anything.
Now, at this particular point in the show, I think we need to make a little bit of a pivot because I think Lindsay and Rod have just more important things to do in their lives, like take care of their kids or like get onto like a call with like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, stuff like that. I'd like to use this as an opportunity to, well, one, let them say goodbye to you, but then also get into a little bit of the weeds a little bit because I actually built a calculator and I want to show you an example of like offer strategy and offer creation that would allow you to see and determine whether or not a marketing strategy works. And the upshot of that is in that little spiel that I'll give once they take off, I'll show you why copywriting courses and gurus charge $800 for a course. And I'll also show you why we don't. But Lindsay, Rod, anything else that you want to say on the topic of marketing strategy before y'all take off to live life?
Go ahead, Rod.
After you.
I want to tell a story about a huge marketing strategy failure. I'll tell it really quick that I heard the other day while I was in the gym. I was jogging, and while I run, I listen to Pandora, and I'm against upgrading, so I still listen to ads. So I still get exposed to them. This was such a major strategy failure. I'm listening to this ad, and then at the end, the call to action was like, be sure to visit us at, I'm making this up because I can't remember the actual words, but the call to action was literally, and you can visit poorpoor.com to learn more. And I'm like, poor. Is it poor, like I don't have any money? Is it pour, like I'm pouring water? Or is it like pour, like the pores on my face? Literally, it was two words like this. What do they call that? Like a multinym? What's the word for that? Homophone, Sean. I knew Sean would know. But that was literally the call to action. It was a homophone. It was two words. And I couldn't figure out which of the correct thing that it was like referring to. It was crazy. But somebody had actually written those words to be delivered in an audio ad. And nobody on the strategy side was thinking or thought to ask the question, maybe this isn't suitable for audio only, because the URL was an actual, when delivered audio-wise, was a literal, what was it, homonym?
Homophone.
Homophone.
Sean. Yeah, same sound.
Yes, same sound. Homophone. Isn't that crazy? And somebody is running that campaign on Pandora.
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of a breakdown. That sounds like when you are pitching strategy to clients, stuff like that happens all of the time, and you kind of have to have all the pieces in your head, and you have to be able to, because like especially as a copywriter, you are going to be writing the script, and you think, oh, I'm so clever, I'm going to use this contrastive reduplication to have poorpoor.com as the thing. I'm so clever, I'm a copywriter. And then, but because you aren't thinking outside of the page, outside of the words, well, guess what? You don't inhabit the person who's actually going to be listening to that. And so you have no idea what it sounds like. So
yeah. All right. On that note, kid duty. I'm out. Guys, this was a lot of fun.
this was
See ya.
delightful.
Yeah. Peace.
Always
All right,
is.
bye.
Have
See
a
you
good
soon.
life.
Rod, anything else you want to say?
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's a crazy story. And I can imagine exactly how that happened. But yeah, one, I'm actually kind of sad I have to dip because the calculator you're about to show is like super, super, super cool and explains a lot. I think there's a lot of value in understanding that for pretty much any copywriter, I think, who wants a deeper understanding of like how the businesses that they're working for work, and just how ad spend works generally. But also, it's incredibly powerful if you want to be able to go to a client and justify any sort of decision or change you want to make. If you can say, hey, look, if we can bump our conversion rate by X%, we're going to make Y amount more money. It becomes a lot easier to say, hey, you know, the kind of me writing good copy here really, really matters. And so you should either invest more in me or give more space or let us try different things to see what's going to get us to that point that's going to raise your net your revenue Y amount. And being able to come to a client with an actual dollar value on that is way more powerful than just being in the abstract, like, oh yeah, I want to test this, I want to test that, just for funsies. Your clients don't care about funsies.
Yeah. Thank you, Rod. That sold the calculator spiel that I want to go on momentarily better than I did. So,
but yeah, strategy, super fun. It's a great topic. Alex put so much work into this that I don't know if anyone will ever actually like be able to comprehend because he just has so much value like oozing out of him constantly. But if you
it
guys
makes them
are
smell
interested,
really bad.
it smells
Us,
terrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
No,
smells
no,
like
when he was
forced
visiting the two of us in Baltimore last year, just like Rod and I were just like, oh God. Oh.
Yeah.
That's
It did
probably
not
because he
help.
sleeps with roaches though.
light.
Oh God, let's not tell that story again. That is a great icebreaker though. Whenever anyone says like, "Oh, copy that," or like they go like, "Oh, you got friends in America," I was like, "Yeah." The first time I met him, I passed out in his front yard and threw up and slept in it with roaches. There you go. Oh, okay.
See, now that we've passed the 2-hour mark,
Oh God.
this is where copy that goes off the rails a little bit, and everybody who how should I say has stuck with us this long, one, we love you, but two, also gets the spicy and slightly more unhinged copy that.
Only slightly.
Slightly. So
yeah.
Rod, do you want to stick
gonna-
around or you got to go?
I gotta go because if I don't eat now, I won't be able to eat for like 4 hours.
I have a huge report that I need to finish before basically 9 o'clock tonight. And so pretty much the moment I get off the stream, I'm going to just start writing like 3,000 words as quickly as possible.
My condolences.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen my children in weeks.
Yeah, I'm just going to bed. I
Fair
don't know
enough.
what I've done too many late nights recently. I'm fucking going to bed after this.
Well, so, I mean, everybody, for context, Alex works basically 10 hours a day every single day at his job. He's a marketing director. Like when you were in either the C-suite or the directorial or management level of a business, you're always on call because there's always something else to do. And your pay and your ability to rise in the company is entirely contingent upon what you are able to execute and do for the company. And so as a result, Alex is basically always busy, just the same way I am always busy. And what Alex has been doing is taking the bus home and then staying up to work on this marketing strategy product for Copy That because he's a maniac. And so I woke up at 6 this morning to help finish like putting all the fiddly bits and uploading and stuff like that together for it. And just the sheer amount of stuff that he made for this is it was intimidating. So
I mean, you're painting me out as quite altruistic, but the reality is I just needed to get all of this out of my head and onto paper somewhere. So like, and into videos. So I feel like someone else is looking at it. If even one person buys this and shares in my misery, which is marketing, I am kidding. I love it. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm very grateful. But yes, like, yeah, when you get to this level, I have literally just been sat here and occasionally replying to emails and seeing all the Slack notifications come through. Because I also just got, we also just hired a new salesperson. So I'm inducting them at the moment. And I'm not going to go into that. Let's stick on value for a little while.
Yeah, let's stick on value. So I'm going to switch over to actually present. Roderick, it
I'm
seems like
out.
you're gonna
I'm leaving
present.
for real. I have to go. Okay. Bye,
Say
guys.
goodbye to everybody.
Thanks for coming to the stream.
Bye,
You guys
Rod.
are wonderful. We will see you, I'm sure, before next month. But in the meantime, I love you. You're great. Thank you so much for being here. And you post too. Okay.
Rod, on a scale from 1 to 10, you're also pretty okay.
Yeah.
I just aim to please.
Solid, Rod.
So, solid, Rod. So Alex, I just want to walk through this because I think actually talking about this is also a good way to talk about basically monetization efforts,
Yep.
funnels, the strategy around it. But it breaks it down into a very it's almost like Dwarf Fortress a little bit too. If anybody is familiar with that reference, probably nobody is. I'm the one who is the nerd. But basically, this is the Dwarf Fortress version of looking at funnel strategy. And if you don't know what that means, it means that you're not a nerd and you probably did not get beat up in middle school. And so let's start with this. I built this calculator, and I built this calculator because I was launching a business with investor money, and I needed to pitch to them based on what we were seeing with other offers we were running to other affiliates. I needed to show how much money we needed on a monthly basis to fund the business in order to generate a positive result. And as a result, I needed to build forecasts, and most of what I do during the day is actually not copy or marketing. It is actually investment analysis. And so I'm really good with Excel. I'm really good at forecasting and analyzing things on a numerical level. That is where I make most of my money now these days, more the data analytics side of things.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I built this calculator that basically analyzed okay, if we do lead gen campaigns, that is, we were bringing on free names and then monetizing them later, or if we do direct to paid, like show an ad, take them straight to a sales page, and then monetize them immediately. And then if we have a funnel, like a gauntlet or welcome series that monetizes them further, what numbers would we have to hit in order to justify an ad spend? What ad spend would we need to hit certain metrics or numbers to make this an attractive investment? And so why don't we get started with Alex? Give me a total monthly ad budget.
I'm gonna say $11,000. That's how much we've got.
$11,000 every month that we are spending on ads. Now, the second question that I have for you is, how much do you want to be spending on lead gen versus straight to paid?
Well, we are in a business that relies on helping people out first. A lot of value. We don't often sell immediately. So I'm going to say at least 60% of that is going on straight lead gen.
Let's keep this simple for now and just we are doing 100% lead gen. So what does that mean? That means we are showing people ads that take people to a page where they can sign up for something, typically a lead magnet. What is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is basically some report, some book, some free doodad, a video perhaps, where we say, or a 21-day course, I don't know, where we say, hey, put in your email and you will get this thing. That's a lead magnet.
And now let me have any fun.
No fun whatsoever. So that means that we don't need to worry about this, the direct to front end forecast. We need to worry about this, the lead gen to front end forecast. Now, the CPL or cost per lead, that is a metric that people need to know. Any of these fields are editable. By the way, this calculator is available in Alex's Ultimate Marketing Mastery Guide. And I recorded a how-to video. So, if you are confused by anything that I'm doing, I'll let you know. It's in the product. But for now, this is going to help break down the numbers and help you conceptualize how this business works at a business level. Give me a cost per lead.
Okay, let's say, do you want to keep these simple?
Let's keep them simple, but also somewhat realistic.
All right, let's say lead, say $5.
That's actually, so if you can get a $5 cost per lead, and what that means is that for every $5 you spend, you get one lead from your advertising budget. And if you're spending $11,000, that means, hey, simple division, you're getting 2,200 leads. typical unsubscribe rate that I've seen from welcome sequences and stuff like that, and that also includes like dead emails and people who just type in like @flibble.com. That's going to be your unsubscribe rate. So there you go. And so that subtracts 10% from right there. That's the number of people that we have turned into a lead for our business. Now, based on your experience, what is a good free to front end conversion rate? That is, somebody has become a lead. Now that they put in their email address, now we are showing them a front end promotion or some sort of sale for something. Or conversely, we're sending them a welcome email with something that they can buy in it. What is a good conversion rate for you?
I mean, typically mine are higher than 10% because I'm often working in far more direct problem solving niches. So really anyone who's coming onto the list would like to see at least a CR of 30% to the people who come on.
But at what price point?
Well, when we're talking about these front ends, it becomes $5, $5 to $10.
So let's walk through what we did so far. This is our ad budget. We are doing 100% lead gen at a cost per lead of $5, which is pretty good. If your cost per leads are higher than $10 and what have you, you better be making a lot of money to make up for that. Unsub rate of about 10%. It's about average in my experience. Now, if you have a cheap front end, these are often called tripwire offers. $5 product or a $7 book offer. There is also what's called the free plus shipping offer, where we'll send you the book for free as long as you pay for the shipping. And then that is either like $3.99, $4.99, $7.99, things like that. And so what we get here is we have 594 people that bought. And obviously, the higher the price of the front end, the lower the conversion rate is going to tend to be. And people ask me all the time, what is the industry standard conversion rate to expect? And I never answer because, well, that depends on the list, the type of product, the type of buyer, like how expensive it is. Like these things change constantly. So the first time that you do this, use this calculator, you have to, how should I say, estimate a little bit, like with your best guess. But then once you are working with a company, actually using this to calibrate your approach, use the numbers, the data that you actually got, and then adjust it from there. So $5, 30% conversion rate. Now, did you ever have any upsells, Alex?
Yes, yeah, we had upsells.
Typical price point?
Typical price point for the upsell would have been, let's say $9. I'm trying to kind of make averages of similar offers here, so I'm not going just down one route.
Of course. And upsell take rate?
15, 20%, 15%, let's say.
Okay. So let's walk through the math here. Based off of, Alex's experience, if we're spending $11,000 and we're bringing on 2,200 people to become leads to our business, at the end of the month, we are going to be netting, net of refunds of about 10%, which, by the way, info publishing, like courses, coaching, newsletters, things like that, you're going to see like 20 to 50%, depending upon the price point as the refund rate. Also depends on your guarantee and how good your fulfillment is. But after like net of refunds, net of unsubscribes, we are netting $3,393. But we spent $11,000. Where does that leave us? Pretty deep in the hole. We just lost $7,600 in order to make $3,300. Now, I want to show you something really quick. And this is the reason why you have your Dan Locks and why you have your, how should I say, your typical copy gurus, your typical copy courses are going to cost what, $699, $799? Is that typical?
Yeah.
So let's reduce this upsell take rate to just 1%. But let's kick this up to $799. Look at that. Even though we only made 5 sales off of this lead gen campaign, that shaved $3,000 off of our net cost. Now, imagine we go down here. We're in the welcome sequence now. We have free people on the list that we're going to be emailing to, on a daily basis that have not bought anything. We're also going to be emailing people that have bought something. So free to back-end conversion rate, that's typically in the 1%, 0.5 to 1% range. Paid to back-end, that's typically in the 2 to 5% range. And let's say that back-end is the same thing here, $799. Boom. And let's say we don't have any, coaching or mentoring upsells from there. All of a sudden, this $11,000 that we spent that cost us $4,700, well, look at how much profit we're making now. All we did was expect a lower conversion rate, but a higher cost, like higher price. This is what we mean by like testing different offers. Because what happens if we reduce this cost of the back end to, oh, I don't know what it was before. What was it? $7, $9?
Yeah, $9.
$9? Oh, look at that. Now we're hemorrhaging money every single month. And obviously, and we can kick this number up, paid to back end. Let's kick that up to 30%. Let's say we have a breakout offer, 50% conversion rate. Now all of a sudden we're making money, but in all likelihood, it's not nearly as much as if you just accepted a smaller conversion rate, but charged a really, 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 really high amount. That's yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, like, this is so core. And it's funny because you went on to make almost the other end of the scale of a point I was going to make. If we scroll back up to the first part to lead gen to front end. If kick it back to $9, so the $799 upsell, and then upsell to 30% take rate, just so we're back kind of where we were. So something I wanted to point out, you went the opposite way. Something I wanted to point out is if we shave that CPL down to, I don't know, let's say what, $1.
Oh, yeah. I know the point that Alex is going to make. Like, when it comes to you as a marketing strategist, there are only a few knobs that you have to twiddle. Like, as you can see, there's a lot of different inputs here. And like, how hard is it as a copywriter to increase from a 30% conversion rate to a 40% conversion rate? That's a 30% change. But what happens if you make a 20% reduction to the CPL? Look at this. You just shaved another $1,000 off your cost.
Yep.
What if you can get that down to, as Alex said, $1? Now you're profitable from moment one. And again, that was not copy. I mean,
but yeah, exactly that. This is the point I wanted to make. And when we first said CPL, I was just thinking like, oh, okay, well, let's do kind of an info product thing at $5. And then I switched to, okay, let's do e-com rates. But the point I wanted to make was, let's like change the CPL to typical kind of e-com level, which is, it tends not to be kind of $5-ish. If it's going to lead gen, tends to be more, usually quite cheap. But I want to link this back to the story I told earlier, which was about how a newspaper ad versus a leaflet to acquire someone as a customer. Now, this is doing a slightly different thing. This is obviously to lead gen, first of all. So effectively, they're coming on for free, or like they're not paying anything to get on your list. But the point is, like, just by changing where you aim, just by moving from, say, one set of ads to another set of ads, or from one channel to another channel, I have seen far more extreme results than that, like from shaving CPL and from shaving CAC or customer acquisition costs. Like, it can plummet. Like, that could go from like $15 to like 50 cents in some cases, just by just changing where you're aiming, looking at where people are actually hanging out online, and look at the impact that had. So Sean initially took you through what happens if they spend more with you, or more people spend the same with you. I wanted to show what happens if you are spending less to get the same level of people on. There are so many things you can do here, and the only way that you're going to be able to try all this is by knowing what you can shift and how you can shift it, which is why strategy is so insanely important.
yeah. You can also use this calculator to help you map strategy. Like, once you find like what a company is willing to spend, like say they're only willing to spend $5,000 a month there. They want to do a lead gen campaign. That is, they want to have a PPC ad that leads to a squeeze page that asks for an email that, has some sort of product that they show immediately with a welcome sequence that links to the same product basically, but with different copy. Well, think about what you need there. You need the ads that are on Google or on Facebook or whatever. You need the squeeze page. You need the upsell page. Like once people put in their email address, you need the actual offer that shows up. Then you need the welcome email sequence. Like, as you can see, this helps you plan out the kinds of copy that you're going to need if you want to hit these numbers. And so why don't we do a different offer, but instead of doing lead gen, we just do straight to paid. Like we're putting an ad, like you're advertising our picture frame, for example.
I wonder where you got that example.
I have no idea. It's the link at the bottom of your screen. It's the course that Alex poured his sweat, blood, and tears into. Which, by the way, we should probably put together an upsell for that, because we do now have the ability to have back-end sales.
God damn, we didn't do an upsell. We only did the order bump.
We didn't do an upsell. We only did the order bump.
I knew there was something that I would like big that I hadn't done. That was what it was.
It's okay. All we need is just a video recording, and we're pretty much done and good to go.
All right, I'll do that, and then we'll just link to I don't know, something good.
Well, they could be the Copy Career Accelerator, for example.
Yeah. Do the CCA.
So, all right, 0% is going to lead gen. That means 100% is going to straight to paid. Notice how all of these numbers zeroed out, because guess what? We're not doing any lead gen. So we're not going to have any free names. Now, average CPA, that means our monthly ad budget, $5,000. We're doing a straight to paid campaign for picture frames. What is your average cost per acquisition for a picture frame buyer?
Let's say it is $5.
$5. See, I'm used to financial, where the CPA is often like 200 to 300.
Oh, it's like massive. Yeah. No, not this world.
So CPA of $5. That means we could bring on 1,000 paid names at what price point?
Picture frame. Are we saying net here? Or are we
$12.99?
Like...
this is gross.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let's say $14.99. That's usually in dollars. That would be all right. 14. Sorry.
$14.99. Okay, and then say you have an upsell. Like people buy the picture frame, and then they actually, let's illustrate this a different way. Let's get rid of the upsell altogether, because how many people selling picture frames are going to have an upsell? Yeah. So what is the typical refund rate for people buying a picture frame?
Very low.
Like 5%.
5%, yeah.
Did I fucking call it, or did I fucking call it?
I think you fucking called it.
So look at this. Guys, I don't know if you just realized what happened right here, but we just got evidence that the picture frame business doesn't need a funnel. How did I come to that conclusion? Well, guess what? If we are getting names, paid names at this price point, $14.99, and we have this average CPA or cost, customer acquisition cost of $5 with a 5% refund rate, we don't need an upsell. We don't need a back-end offer, because look at this. We spent $5,000, but we made $14,240. We're profitable. No funnel needed. You don't need to pitch a funnel to your picture frame client if you're able to hit these numbers. And what do you need for this funnel? You need an ad, you need the copy, and that's it. And an order form, maybe. This calculator tells you.
And I have to say, Sean, like, this calculator is so valuable. Like I had one like this that I had picked up probably as a free resource somewhere that was like maybe 5 fields. Very basic, just like kind of an overarching thing. The fact that you have split it out into the common kind of stages of any kind of strategy, the fact that everything is there and look at it, I think this is just a fantastic like tool. Anyway, so thank you for including this, because it's super valuable.
Of course. Well, thank you for building a course, because I built this for myself like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just been sitting here like in my Google Drive, like collecting dust. And I was like, oh, a marketing strategy course? I might as well include the calculator.
No, and if you guys, if anyone watching this does go and buy it, watch the missing piece of the puzzle, like one. I would suggest maybe watching that first anyway. And then like compare what I say to that, because I give the picture frame example in that, and then remember what we've just gone through here, and then do this yourself, and you realize like exactly what Sean has just said, which is you don't need a complex funnel. And this is where I need to go back and see. Someone asked me the question in the Copy That Discord months and months ago, like, oh, how do I learn marketing strategy? That question is what sparked this whole thing. Like ever since then, I've been like, I really want to do a marketing strategy like month and talk about it. So I need to go and thank him because I can't remember who it was. But anyway, one of the things I initially said to him was like, a big problem with when people learn marketing strategy is a lot of people recommend .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, which is a great book. And it lays out like a good strategy, a good method of thinking about how to sell. However, it is predominantly skewed towards info products. And some would argue very specific kinds of info products, i.e. courses. That's and because it is really it's a marketing, it's a good book, it's super valuable. I would recommend it. But it is a marketing ploy to get you to buy ClickFunnels and to try and build your own course, which they sell courses on. But the problem is, like, people always tout that whenever someone talks about marketing strategy, that's the book that gets talked about the most. But that is not a very good book to learn like the kind of underlying rules of marketing strategy. Because like we've just demonstrated, if you use a value ladder and what Russell Brunson goes into to try and sell a picture frame, to try and sell a SaaS, to try and sell a high ticket product to, like a yacht or something, or a hot tub for that matter, you will not do very well, because all of a sudden you realize, what, I'm wasting so much effort and time into doing things that don't need to be here. And I've just hemorrhaged money trying to get people to opt into a free leaflet on the history of hot tubs, when actually I should just be targeting rich people who are already buying boats at the boat show. Like, I could be going straight to them. So yeah, this is just a fantastic, very applicable bonus. And I'm very, very glad we have it in the product.
Of course. And I mean, I can't emphasize enough that like people who read .com Secrets, like, what are they going to do? They're going to get with their client. They're going to be like, I want to call myself a marketing consultant. I want to call myself a marketing strategist now. And they will not have like bought your course. They will not have like seen this stuff and actually played with like the actual calculator itself. So they won't understand that like, oh, well, what they were doing was actually pretty profitable as it is. And so it doesn't make sense to like spend the time to do a series of upsells and things like that in the funnel immediately. But how can we potentially milk more money for this business? Well, it's going to be in the email sequence afterwards. And here's where we can play with the money. Free to back end, we obviously don't have any free names, but we did have 950 sales in the first month based off that $5,000 ad spend. And so people already paid. Now that people have bought a picture frame, what's another thing that we can sell them? Oh, I don't know. Photo editing services, something else. Give me an idea.
Well, it's such a common thing to do, especially for Amazon sellers when they can collect emails of people who have bought picture frames, is just to sell them other home goods, and just to send them other home goods. Because the likelihood is, think about someone who's buying a picture frame, it's because they want to decorate a space with something they care about. Yeah, some people will have just got a photo they love, but most people buy a picture frame in the thought of like, oh, there needs to be something here. The psychology of someone who's saying, oh, there needs to be something here, or I want to decorate the room a bit more, is likely to be someone who is open to the idea of replacing old bits of furniture and adding something quirky and having wall art and things like that. So a very common thing, you don't need to think too deeply about, oh, what is motivating the person by buying a picture frame? You don't need to think too deeply about it. It can just be like, well, let's send them other home goods. And you can even send them lazy emails. You can send very, very lazy emails just about, hey, we've got a sale on the most popular wall art items in 2023 because they all have to go. Check them out. Like, here's our top 4 we suggest at the top of your email. You will get people buy from that email.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give a perfect hypothetical of that. Like, say this is what's going on now. Say this is the current business model, and you're talking to a business owner, and you're going like, they're already profitable. What the hell am I going to do? Oh no, attack of the imposter syndrome. What do I do? Well, what if you find out, well, they don't have a good email sequence afterwards? What if you find out, like, hey, people who bought a picture frame, maybe 3 or 4 months later, maybe they want to buy another picture frame. So back end, you say, hey, it's going to be another picture frame and it's going to be, I don't know, 33% off. So that's going to be $9.99 on the back end. And let's say the conversion rate for people that you reach out to, it's going to be 20%. 1 out of 5 people, that are paid this. That's another 190 sales right there. And it's because the back end was so cheap, but they're still getting the same quality good. Well, and let's say the refund rate again is 5%. Bingo bango, you just upped that monthly revenue from $9,240 and you kicked it up another 20%. Now all of a sudden your month 1 return on an ad spend is 220%. That's money that, if you spent $5,000 on ad spend, now you can go back to this business and say, hey, well, you spent $5,000. What if we kick that up to $10,000 this month? You go back, monthly ad spend. This is month 2, $10,000. And this is what the numbers you can expect now. Obviously, you're going to see a little bit of a drop off. You're going to see CPA creep up a little bit, but, because everything is asymptotic and you're going to get diminishing returns. But look at that. You've just massively increased your revenue tremendously. You basically doubled it. And so, yes, this does have a drop off at a certain point, but part of marketing strategy is finding out where that drop off is. And part of a good marketing strategist is going to be like justifying to a business owner, like, yeah, we made this amount of profit from this particular campaign. Why don't we double down? And then the next month, why don't we double down? And then finding out where that threshold is between like the creeping up, like, say the CPA goes up to, I don't know, $7 as a result of this increase. Well, the number still went up another $2,000 from the previous month, even though CPA crept up. So this is how you justify like expanding, and we call this scaling an offer in marketing, which is you are figuring out the sweet spot between getting a good cost per acquisition and monetizing customers. And again, once you play with this calculator, once you see like all the business components, you're going to be like, oh God, yeah, I understand now why Dan Locke charges $799 for his introductory course. It's because he doesn't need that many people to take it for him to break profitable. That's it. That's the real answer. Like, it's not about like exploiting people. It's just about like, that is the sweet spot between like acquisition cost and revenue generation. So there you go.
Yeah. It really opens your eyes to how pricing isn't random, and it can't afford to be random, because businesses that price randomly often won't be businesses in a year's time. And one of the things I say to freelancers, and I would say to you guys, if you are a beginner starting out, one of the things I always say when people say, well, how do I price myself and like, what should I charge for this? I always say, look at what you need to earn to live. Look at what you would like to earn or you'd be happy with. Decide how generous to yourself you want to be, and then use one of those as your benchmark. Then reverse engineer what you should be charging from that. Has to be the same with a business. Like, so many businesses look to a market to see how they should price things, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if they do it smartly. But as a business, you should first of all be looking at your costs, and the costs of goods you're selling, and how much do we actually need to be selling to break even on that. Once you have that number, then you can look to potentially, if the business facilitates it, the back end to monetize further. And then anything over what you're breaking even on is profit. So if you send an email that brings in $2,000, that is $2,000, obviously minus cost of goods sold on that, of profit, because you've already at that break even point. So yeah, it is crazy. I'm now going to highlight this comment, which is from Alex. It says, hey guys, just getting on. Can anyone tell me what we're talking about?
I think we should just go back to the beginning and just start the stream over.
Yeah, it's the most logical way to do it. Alex, we are about to sign off, but if you rewind to the beginning, you should be able to find it. Basically, marketing strategy. If you're a copywriter and you want to, earn more money, you should be learning marketing strategy. We just explained a bunch of it. We just went through a calculator that shows you exactly what you should be pricing things at and how you should be implementing upsells and all that good stuff.
Strategizing and such.
We have a product we're selling that we only want you to buy if you can afford it and if you're not a beginner. Anything else?
I mean, I'm just going to, this guide, this 2.5 hour long video should give you, again, a toehold into thinking about this stuff, getting started in this stuff. Don't go and spend money on a course, including ours, until you are making money as a copywriter and you are looking to expand. Now, there are two ways to expand your capabilities as a copywriter. Depth, as in you can become better at copy by learning other niches, by becoming a better offer crafter, by becoming a better persuader, things like that. That would be depth, and you can make a lot of money that way. Or you can go breadth. And what we are talking about in the stream has been how to broaden your scope and your services as a copywriter. You can make a ton of money either way. And in fact, I think for most people, broadening out is a better way to hit those quote unquote 10-figure, 20-figure months, because at a certain point, unless you are like the best of the best in copy, you're gonna hit a ceiling a little bit. And I know people that make millions of dollars a year. All they do is write copy. They don't think about marketing once at all. But they're really good. They're better than you. They're better than me, certainly. And they're better than 99.9% of people. I think you stand a better chance of hitting your monetary goals, your goals of wealth, and your goals of learning financially valuable skills by pairing your copywriting and persuasive skills with a good set of marketing skills. This stream ideally introduced some of those to you. If you go back and listen to the stories, I actually think that those are more valuable than a lot of the this is what marketing is bits. I hate step-by-step guides and videos like that for that reason. I think that the real meat of any good educational bit of podcasting or streaming or anything is really in the stories and understanding okay, in that context, this person solved this problem that way. That gives you something that you can use the next time you have a client that has a similar problem, or to actually think through a problem. And that's what we're talking about here. Every business has problems, and you can make a lot of money by figuring out how to solve those problems. It could be with copy, it could be with marketing strategy, it could be with both. But you're not going to know until you actually start investigating both sides of a business's approach to actually getting customers at a good cost and monetizing them further at a good cost.
Yeah, could not have said it better. That is it. This is all about offering more to businesses that they actually want to pay you for. Not getting stuck in the kind of rat race of the copywriting dream where it's, copywriting is the absolute key to everything. Copywriting is the start and it's a core, and you can earn good money from copywriting. If you really want to break through, the majority of people need to apply marketing strategy and learn it.
I feel like we should end the stream with this question. Name every modern copywriter.
There's Sion Mocklinter, who's pretty good.
There's Alex Miat.
Oh, yeah. Alex Miat. There's a catchy writing style.
There's Dr. Mr. Roderick Satir-Witte the third.
Yeah. And there's Lindby Monsteroi.
Huff. Her last name is pronounced Huff.
That's the one.
Yep.
Huff.
No, listen, some other modern copywriter, before we sign off, what are two other modern copywriters that you appreciate very much?
Oh, modern copywriters. I kind of want to steal one because I was on his show very recently, and he's a modern copywriter, but Kyle Milligan. Yeah. Absolutely appreciate him. Stand-up guy. He was
friend of the show.
Friend of the show. One of the first books I read on copywriting was his book. Stand-up guy. But there's so many unsung heroes of copywriting as well.
Yeah.
People who write, but they're not even necessarily copywriters, if that makes sense. Like they are obviously, but they're not trying to brand themselves as a copywriter as such. I know quite a few people who read great emails. They don't call themselves a copywriter. They're just like, oh yeah, I do emails. But I mean, any other modern people you want to shout out to?
David Deutsch. So David Deutsch was one of my 5 primary mentors, and he has had it's interesting because a lot of the copywriters that I've worked with that mentored me, they went on to either be publishers, business owners, entrepreneurs. They did copywriting for a certain amount of time, and then they ascended, they broadened out. And then they became sort of mentors of copywriters, but most of their day to day, they don't have time to bash their head against a 40-page sales letter. Yeah. But David Deutsch, he's hasn't done that. He has kept his hands in the actual copywriting game since the 80s. He started out at Ogilvy and Mather, doing brand. Then he switched to direct response. He's written direct mail. He's written catalogs. He's written stuff for encyclopedias. He's written the best bullets ever written ever. And he still writes old school copy, brand copy, newfangled copy. He straddles all of it. And he's a sort of inspiration for me because it shows you that just because you're a modern copywriter doesn't mean that you have to not write in the old school salesy way. Or just because you're an old school salesy copywriter doesn't mean that you can't also do fun commercials, which he's doing for fucking Procter and Gamble. And so wow. Yeah, so he's really cool and so sweet. And I had the opportunity to do an interview with him, and that is available on youtube.com/copythat. The full extended interview is on patreon.com/thecopythatshow. But that is not the push that we were doing today. Now at the end of the show, the push today is this link that you see here. Also, if you go to the description, it's the top link. That will take you to the ultimate guide to marketing strategy, Alex's baby that I helped birth into the world, and Lindsay and Rod also helped birth into the world. And
you were there for the crowning.
Yeah, I've seen two births, 2 live births, and the second time it was so gory that I all the blood drained from my head, and I was just is it okay if I could sit down? I almost passed out.
And your wife was like, "Are you kidding me?"
No, I asked her permission, very, very gently. I held it together. But basically, yes, helping you birth this into the world was a very similarly gory experience.
I mean, should we give a bit of behind the scenes? Now we're way past 2-hour mark of what happens with these launches.
So just to give you a sense of what I want to do on Thursday, I actually want to do a stream at 3. If you're watching this some months in the future, you can also see this. This will be up and available in the past. But I would actually like to do a meta stream about our launches and explain the marketing strategy that went into the recent anti-sale campaign as well as this one. But that's going to be on Thursday. That's also available. But please give a little bit of insider baseball about this particular campaign.
First of all, we should definitely do that. But second of all, yeah, so this campaign, guys watching. So if you want to know how a real marketing campaign goes down, we have a rough kind of monthly focus each month about what we want to do, what we want to kind of push to you guys. It helps us stay sane and know what videos we're going to make. And we'll sometimes say, oh well, let's build a product around that because it makes sense. We need to keep making money for the business. This month was one that I've wanted to do for a long time, like I said, which is marketing strategy. It's very much my baby. I really love it. Sean was in Japan recently, so he kind of had dipped his toes out of the business a little bit, below what he usually does when he's available. So me, Rod, Lindsay, and I were like, okay, well, let's do marketing strategy then, because I really wanted to do it. And I was making videos for it for the last last couple of weeks. I've been, putting stuff together and looked at the stuff I've done over the last few months, the planning. But I left the actual putting together all of it way too late in terms of making sure all the editing was done and then uploading them somewhere where you guys could watch it. So I spent ages on the videos and stuff and the planning, but the actual getting it all together and then writing the copy for the sales page and then planning this video and then doing all the bullets and then making sure all the tech worked. We have a consistent record of doing that, I would say, in the 24 hours before we were due to launch a product. because we all have jobs. Like, we don't make any money from Copy That. This is basically just to keep the business going, because we enjoy doing it. It would nice to one day profit, of course.
One day.
But yeah, we don't have time to do this shit. So like Sean said, like, I'm just on the bus, like, writing bullets and like trying to make sure that the links work. And I mean, you said you were only doing little bits. You did shit tons. You and Kaylee, the dream team, you did all the assets. You made sure they were in all the right places. You did a ton of shit. So like, we were just all hands on deck trying to get everything ready so you guys could see a page and then hopefully buy it.
Yeah. And listen, this is not true for you watching 10,000 years in the future, but I do actually want to show something. Here, I want to show you how like fly by night and ridiculous this is. Hold on. Let me pull up the actual sales page. Okay. Here's how fly by night we are when we do a launch.
You're going to show me something that we made a mistake on.
Oh, absolutely.
God.
So this is the sales page. Alex wrote the copy, but Lindsay and I pitched into bullets. And we're going down. Kaylee did all the graphics, and then I did the sort of like design, like putting stuff into places. And then Rod proofread it, copy edited it, stuff like that. Scrolling down, got the bullets, etc. Vibes based. Oh, you know what? I think in the time that we've been filming this went from just saying placeholder.
I did that before it started.
Okay.
So I did press save. I pressed save before we went live, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it took a while to change for you.
No, maybe I had this page pulled up, but yeah, no. Sincerely, there was a series of bullets.
It wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. That one. These are the ones I wrote. Like, I wrote these, like, I was like on the bus writing them really quick, and then I got home and uploaded them.
Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
in the time that you've been watching this, and obviously if you're watching this in the future, this is not true, but this went from saying just placeholder to actually having the bullets that we that he wrote on the bus on the way home today.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, God, nothing compared to the last launch, the CCA, where literally on the video about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes before we were due to announce the whole thing, I just decided to like test the fulfillment and realized it just did not work. And I messaged Sean and I was like, guys, it's not working. No one's going to be able to buy it. So me and Sean had to like guerrilla warfare a brand new fulfillment method, like re-upload a bunch of like product bits, and then act like nothing happened. It was great.
Yeah. So straight up, like, and you can actually see like the moment, like, one of us dies on stream. Like, this is the February, like, how to succeed as a copywriter in 2023. Yeah. This was the last launch that we did. And it was for the CCA, which was another Alex product, where he specifically put together everything that he has learned in his major master classes about getting hired and actually like selling yourself through various means, cold outreach, networking, and what was the other one?
Upwork? Just applying. No, it was a CV, like resume thing.
I feel like we should add the Upwork masterclass as a bonus to that.
It is, I think.
Is it? We'll double check that. But either way, like, you can see the moment in that 3-hour long stream where like some of us were muted and having a conversation in Discord, like, oh fuck, it's not working.
That was great.
Like, we're selling a thing right now and we have zero capacity or ability to actually like accept payment for the thing that we're selling.
I was just, I just remember, go on.
Oh god, that was ridiculous. By the way, like, you watching, if you've made it to this far, why? But also, thank you for sticking around with us. We love you. But you're gonna find that a lot of marketing campaigns actually go that way. There's always something that's going to go wrong. There's always something that's going to be like last minute, and there's always a rush towards the end. It's been 10 years. I've never had a marketing campaign that went off completely seamlessly. There's always something that you're doing in the very last minutes before something goes live.
Yeah. 100%. Like I've never not caught something. I remember, and even after things go live, I remember we printed, I don't know, like 10,000. That's too much. Like 5,000 copies of this leaflet that we were giving away at this big event for a company I was working with. And I had done all the copy for it, and one of the main agencies who like give the proof of results in this industry are called the NHS BSA, and like everyone knows them, they're really big. But I had written NSA BSA, like National Security Agency. Like I was like NSA. I don't know why, it just in my head. And like it wasn't until after we printed them and we were on the way, and I just got one out because I was reading through it, and I was like, what? I was like, and I just in every single of these 5,000 leaflets we had to give out to like influential industry people, it just had the completely wrong name of the most well-known agency, and I was like, oh. So shit always goes wrong.
Yeah.
Always.
God, are we just in story time now? Like this is just me procrastinating from like having to write a huge report, and you from going to bed.
Why don't we go for 8 more minutes?
Sounds good. I was doing a webinar campaign, and it was like an all hands on deck. The whole company was working on assets for this. It was a huge hot list build, huge affiliate build, like, and we're just getting people like trying to. So a hot list build is where you're basically doing lead gen, but only for this webinar. So you're actually going to your paid list, your free list, and to other people's email lists, like usually partners, affiliates, things like that. And you're saying, hey, are you interested in signing up to attend this free event? And that's a hot list build. It's finding the people in your list to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in hearing more about this particular thing. That builds your hot list. And then typically what happens, and by the way, if you want to learn how to do this, I recommend the books Launch by Jeff Walker and One to Many. 2 great books about webinar campaigns, webinar copywriting, also webinar marketing. Read those 2 books and you'll learn more than basically 99.9% of copywriters out there about how to basically kill these events and do them really well and profitably. So the whole campaign was about like how urgent this event was, how like extreme, and like we were doing it live. And so like, you know, James Altucher at the time, like he was going to go live for this particular webinar event. And there was a go live emails, people being blasted on the list being like, hey, you know, I'm in New York. We're about to like start streaming live with information about this particular topic. The idea for the promo was the super convergence in tech. And basically at the same time, an email went out that was like, hey, we're going live. You need to be in this moment. The social media marketer on the team who just wasn't plugged into what we were doing also sent out a like, hey, you know, I'm playing ping pong right now with my kids, like kind of social media post. Like, oh, you know, I'm having a great old time. And also check out this thing that I wrote. Like at the same moment that we were trying to like get all butts into seats, like for this urgent live event, the social media marketer was just like, oh, you know, whatever.
That hurts. That I mean, we used the word cannibalize earlier, but like that's a thing that, especially when there's multiple marketing teams or marketing pods, like you've got to be careful of, is to not cannibalize attention. You know, there's if you send like 3 emails to a list in one day, I almost always the one that goes first is gonna get the most opens. That's not always true if you time it, like if you have certain time zones, but the point is they are all taking attention away from the others. Like, because people they see one company and then they'll delete the other 2 and be like, oh no, I've seen this too many today or whatever. Like you've got to be really careful. This week in my role, we have so many. I mean, Sean, it's something I'll talk to you off stream at some point because we have like loads of exciting shit going on that I want to like discuss. But well, there's so much going on right now, but we need to be contacting our list so much because there's quite a few initiatives and we need people's like backing and stuff for certain offers. We want to gauge the interest. And today, our CEO was like, "Oh, let's go out to our list and ask them what they think about this." And I was like, "We literally went out to them yesterday with a questionnaire about something else. We can't go out to them again today, the same people, and say, oh, here's a question about a completely different thing." Because it just looks bad because it looks like we're just trying to use them for market research. But two, it's not going to be effective when people feel like, well, I've just filled one out, I've just done something for you. That's not to say that you shouldn't send emails every day, but in that context,
Yeah, too much of same can. Let me put it this way: if you sent the same survey email a month apart, fine, totally fine. The copy could be identical and it would be fine. And the reason for that is just because people are forgetful and also list churn. You're going to be talking to new people. But if you send 2 emails out back to back that are the same, oh man, people get mad. Like, you get sent to the spam folder. Like, it's bad. It's bad news. Bad news bears. And so, like, it's important and incumbent upon a marketing strategist not to do too much of the same too close together.
Yeah. And people can get mean in replies to emails. Like, if
Oh,
you're sending out to the public, horrible. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I've like, yeah, it's funny. Funny when you get to read the emails that come back sometimes.
It makes me sad, personally.
There was, I won't tell this on stream because it's far too sensitive. But like, there was one that made me genuinely sad, and I was like, "Oh man, am I a terrible human?" But when you're sending an email out to 300,000 people, God, you can't control who sees it,
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
think of it this way: surveys, customer reviews, responses to emails. The only people that are going to ever respond to them are the people at the very extremes of experience. Very, very good, or very, very bad.
Yeah.
Nobody responds or leaves a customer review if they're just like, "Oh, it was fine. It did what I wanted it to do. Cool."
Yep.
It's either people that they love it, they fucking love it, or they fucking hate it. And the people that fucking hate it are going to be way more vocal and way more motivated to leave a customer review or to respond to your emails. And so there are 2 lessons there. One, be careful. There are some crackpots out there in the world, and guess what? They have the ability to sign up to your marketing list too. So be careful with what you do and how you strategize and what you send and what you write. The second thing to take away from there is also, like, whenever you look at your customer reviews or whenever you look at your emails, you're always going to be getting a very, very skewed sample size. And you can't take insults, upsettedness, and stuff like that to heart. Because again, you're going to hear from like 3, maybe 4 emails back to back of complaints. And that's gonna hurt you. That's gonna like sit in your gut and be like, oh no, I'm a bad marketer because people are complaining. Fuck. But it's 4 people out of 300,000.
Yeah. And I like another tip here. If you do want good reviews and you want to make sure your company only gets good reviews, here's a hot tip I don't see people do enough. A lot of people say send review emails and stuff like immediately after a purchase. I say don't do that because, as Sean said, most people will the reviews you'll get will either be really bad or really good. If you have a great product, fantastic, which hopefully you do, you'll get really good reviews. But if you have a product which is maybe controversial or you're somewhere where people get annoyed because of the content you're in, don't nudge them to leave a review immediately. Nudge them to leave a review after they place their second order, because most likely they wouldn't come back if they didn't like the experience. We have to do this for. Do you guys have Trustpilot in the US, or is that a UK thing? You'll have something similar, I'm sure.
I've never heard of it.
It's like a I don't know, what would you call it? A website, a comparison website where like it's kind of verified independent ratings of businesses. In the UK, it's like seen as a very trustworthy thing. So you type in company name reviews, Trustpilot will often come up. But anyway, we have to do this quite often for app ratings and Trustpilot reviews. And we took an app from 4.4 stars, I think it was at, which is like okay, but it's not great. Someone sees 4.4, it seems like there might be something wrong with it. We took an app from 4.4 stars to 4.8 stars and this is an app that gets it's had hundreds of thousands of downloads, by the way, so it's fairly popular. But we took it from 4.4 to 4.8 in one day, I was just like, why are we sending it to people who like immediately? Because most people are either not interested or they might have had a bad experience straight away. Like, let's just send a blast out to people who have had 2 or more orders successfully delivered to them. And the rating just skyrocketed because those people are also more likely to give you reviews because like, oh yeah, really helpful service, thanks. There you go, a bit of marketing strategy for you. Like that just came from asking a question of what I mean, I go into a lot of questions in this course and ones you should ask, but that question is, why do we ask people to send reviews straight away? Or like, why don't we nudge them to send reviews like later on in our relationship with them?
Yeah, I feel like, and that goes back to something that I was saying earlier, which is, and again, I'm sorry to be redundant, but repetition legitimizes. For all you Adam Neely fans out there, a copywriter will ask, how do I write this? How do I make this more persuasive? How do I punch it up? How do I increase response in this moment? A marketer will ask, why are we even doing this? And so that's fundamentally the kind of mindset that you need to start adopting in order to expand beyond merely writing copy. And once you can get there, you're going to make a lot of money.
We're putting that on a shirt, Sean. I love that little like. I love the way you frame that.
I thank you.
I want that on a shirt myself.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it.
Yes. Okay, it's now past 11, or for you 6, right?
Yep.
So that means it's been 3 hours, which means there are still 25 people watching. What? If we had 25 as an average throughout this whole stream, I would have been happy. But like the fact there are still 25 people watching at the depths of this orgy of story and anecdote, I'm very grateful that to have such a wonderful audience. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, more insider baseball. Like earlier, I showed you the actual math of like why copywriting gurus charge so much for their introductory courses. It literally is a math problem. Like, how much can I spend to get new customers versus how much can I make in profit? And Copy That has been unprofitable from video one. Before we had the ability to make money, I was paying for everything we have been doing out of pocket. And so like everything that we try to do, we are legit, like we're a legitimate business. Like, we had a sale recently. All the money that we made from that sale, we rolled right into editing the videos for the actual offer that's on your screen right now. So like the videos that got edited for this offer, we basically put all the money that we made from that previous sale into this product, and everything that we got from are going to get from this product, if anything, we're just going to try to roll into editing more videos, making more content, and making better stuff for you. I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have any products above the $200 range. Maybe we should eventually one day, but also at the same time, like, we're just hoping that you guys like us enough and like our free stuff enough that you're willing to give money to us if you feel like it's going to help you. Which, again, the amount of effort and energy that we put into our stuff, I'm pretty confident that it will. So
yeah, I am as well. And that's the thing. Like, I'm happy to charge $3,000 for a course, but that course needs to be like one of the best things or the best thing we ever do, and it's targeted at people who can afford it.
Yeah,
like that's the line for me. It's like, if you can't afford something, I'm never going to sell someone into like, oh yeah, you can make $1 million as a copywriter for free, like as a newbie just by following this course, because you can't. Like, there's so much other shit you have to do first.
Yeah, I have so many ethical, like, let's be real, in the copywriting world, there's a lot of people that prey upon desperation. And that's just the one thing that I that's the one Rubicon that I never want to cross personally.
Yeah, it's not nice. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel nice to dupe someone. So yeah, I mean, that's why at the end, at the bottom of every sales page that we will ever have, I think I'm gonna say that we will have the note that is at the bottom of the one we currently have. I don't know if you still have it up, Sean.
Yeah.
Like at the bottom, we always have. I can't remember what it says exactly. I wrote it for the CCA, but just like, don't buy this if you can't afford it, or you haven't looked at any free stuff before because you may not need it.
Yeah. And that's absolutely the case. And also, quick caution: if anybody is offering a marketing course that goes into like how to start a Google Ads campaign or how to set up Facebook ads and stuff like that, all that technical stuff is out there for free. And also, like, these companies will put out videos that show you how to do this stuff well because they want you to spend ad dollars on their platforms. So, like, don't spend money on like the technical stuff. Spend money more on the strategy stuff because that's going to be the thing that actually like teaches you how to think in a bigger way about the problems that businesses are facing. So,
yeah. And I will leave this stream just by saying one last thing about the product, because I know we have been like shitting on courses a little bit and what some people bring out and saying like don't spend money on it. But genuinely, if you are watching this and you are a working copywriter or you are just really interested in marketing strategy and you can afford to pay the price, this course is something we have put a hell of a lot of effort into, and it's not like anything I have ever come across before, which is why we wanted to make it. Which is the stuff we try to make is the stuff that like isn't out there because it's hard to make, and the people who are making courses don't have the knowledge for it because they just want to make money off of selling courses. So yeah, if you are a copywriter right now and you know you're at a decent level but you want to break through and you want to know how do you frame yourself as a marketing consultant, or if you're really interested in marketing strategy and you want to know how to apply it to absolutely any campaign, any business you'll ever run, that is what this course is for. This will always be our master course in marketing strategy because we have gone into everything.
yeah. And I don't have a problem with like once we have something else to add, just going back and adding it to the same product.
I want to. That's what I want to do. I want to have some shining beacons like CCA, the marketing strategy. Like,
I feel like we should do, you know, the book Changing the Channel.
It's one of my favorites.
I feel like
you lent me your copy. It's,
I gave you my copy.
Yeah, you didn't lend it. Well, I can give it back. It's right here, and I go in it often, so it's easy access.
Yeah, it's if you're watching still, all 22 of you right now, if you're watching this, the book Changing the Channel, it's a little bit old, but it's still great for inspiring ideas of different marketing channels and different ways to reach people with marketing campaigns. And literally, it's just like a catalog of like all the different marketing channels you can use. I feel like we should do a sort of like modern compendium of like all the different marketing channels there are, and then throw that into the course as a bonus, like maybe a few months down the line.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, you guys kind of touched upon that in what you and Lindsay did.
Mhm.
I mentioned quite a few in a couple of my master classes. But yeah, let's get it all in one place, kind of like we did with the glossary. And the copywriting glossary, I suppose, goes into that a tiny bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, let's get a prop one together.
All right. Well, that sounds good. And everybody still watching, we love you. We hope that you learned something from this. And we hope that what you learned helps you either make more money or get jobs easier or both or something else entirely that ultimately leads to you having a better and more fulfilled life.
Do that. Be that. You can do it.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.